In this video, we are going to learn how to build this amazing looking messenger clone. So first, to give you a quick demo of how this application works is, as you can see, we have a list of users. So as I have, send a message to only a single user, that's why only a single option is available. But if you have send a message to multiple user, in that case, multiple users will be visible. So if I will click on this, you can see I have sent a lot of messages to this user. Now, this is how a basic chat application works. You will write a message, you will click on send, and it will be visible to the other user. One thing which I have implemented a little bit kind of interesting option as well is that while you're writing the message, the other person will be able to see that as well. So for example, if I'm writing this thanks for the heads, whatever the message is, you can see the message is added already. So if the user is on the other phone, he or she will be able to see this particular message, right? And once you will finalize this message, then you can send. So you can see it's not any update, but basically the message was already there. So how this helps is it kind of solves one of the problem which I was kind of experiencing recently. That one friend of mine was writing a very long message, and I was like, why the hell you're taking that much time, right? So that's why I think you may like this functionality, but don't worry if you don't like to have this. I'll show you how to get if you don't want to add it, it's just a single line of code, so it's not going to be too much of your time anyways. So as you can see, this is the chat application. All the messages sent by me will be visible this side. All the messages which are sent by the other user will be visible this side in that gray color code. So yeah, that's kind of the application. And we also have a sign in sign out option functionality. So this is the sign out functionality. If I click on it, I'll be able to sign out of the application. If I will click on the sign in with Google button, I'll be able to sign in with Google. Now, as for the name of the application, it's actually chat in German. That's what I was calling it. But I kind of thought, it's too much close looking to messengers. So why not just make it a messenger clone, right? So that's what I go with. So just a second. Why is it not signing in? Okay, maybe some internet issue, but overall, I hope you get the point of the demo, and we'll make sure to build a whole good-looking messenger clone, which is something which is going to help you learn all of these things. So we are implementing the Firebase Auth, sign in with Google Sign Out, and sign out functionality. We are going to use shared preferences because we will be saving the user information locally to the mobile storage. Then we have this Firebase Firestore option. So we will learn how to create, update, read data from this Firestore. We will also learn how to query the data in Firestore, because basically the chats which we will be showing. So for example, the list of user you have contacted, all of those will be kind of sorted by the last message sent timestamp, right? So whichever has been sent recently will be at the top. Similarly, for the messages which you are sending, like in the chat screen, all the messages which are visible should be sorted out by timestamp, and the message which was sent the last will be visible at the bottom, right? So all of these very small things will be taken care of. And uh, if you watch the video till the end, I'm sure you are going to learn a lot, even if you have built something before. To get started with, I have created this blank or basically new Flutter project. Initially, I'm going to start off by getting rid of all the comments. So usually what I do is I find and I type slash dot star, and this is a regress which is going to get rid of all the comments. So it's a bit faster than individually removing the comments. Also, I like to have this pubspec.yaml a little bit cleaner. So of course it is useful if you are a newbie to kind of see how things works. That is the whole point of the comments. But since we are not going to use that, that's why I'm going to get rid of it. Okay, so let's save that, and I'm going to move back to my main.dart file. Now, in this particular file, I'm not going to use this my home page, so I'm going to get rid of it. So let's get rid of that, and I'm going to go inside the lib folder and create a new folder called views. Okay, this views folder is going to conclude all the different screen which we are going to have. We are going to have a sign in screen, so I'm going to create a sign in.dart. We are going to have a home screen, which is basically a screen from where we can see the list of all the users. We can search for other users by their username. I think I haven't showed that feature yet, but don't worry, there are so many interesting things about the application which cannot be visible. But as I said, if you will watch the video till the end, I can be sure that you will learn a lot. So we have sign in screen, we have home screen, and we have another one which is called the chat screen. Okay, so we have total of three screens in here. Now let's start by implementing a basic bare bone structure of any widget, which is going to be importing material and then creating the widget. So I'm going to create a stateful widget for sign in because I know I will be showing the sign in loading and stuff. So overall, I will be updating the state even after the widget has been built on the screen, right? So that's why I'm using a stateful widget in here. Then the reason for using a scaffold is very simple. I have this app bar. Now, of course, the app bar which we will use, we will name that a messenger clone. I guess that will be much clearer than this. So let me say title will be a text, and that text will be typing it as messenger clone. Okay, I think that's better. Okay, so that's how it looks like. Now, if I go to my main.dart, you can see it's showing an error because this my home page does not exist anymore. So I'm going to go inside the sign in and then to home, and I'm going to create a home screen. I'll say import material, I'll say stateful widget and call it home. Okay, and for this one, I'm just going to copy the same scaffold because I know that the app bar is going to be the same for all of these screens. Let's do the same for our chat screen. So I'll say material. Oops, I think it's not correct. I'll say import material, and then I'm going to get rid of the semicolon, create a stateful widget, call it a chat screen. Okay, I'll save that, and this is what we have. I'll call it a scaffold and I'll save that. So if I go back to my main.dart, now what I will try to do is I'll just show the sign in screen in here. Okay, and since we are not passing any variable down like that, so I'll just save that like this. Okay, so bare bone application is created structured. So let's just run this application on this device. To run the application, you just have to click on this bug kind of looking icon, which shows this debug and run, and make sure you have opened a .dart file and click on run with Dart and Flutter. If you have any problem running it, or any problem down the road, like creating this application, feel free to comment down in the comment section below. Most of the cases I'm going to help, but if I am not available, there are a lot of people who are watching this video, so hopefully one another can help as well, right? So if you feel any problem, feel free to comment them down below. So let's just wait for a minute or so, not minute, I hope a few seconds, to make sure this application is running perfectly fine. But before that, what we should do is we should go to our pubspec.yaml file over here, and I'm going to import all the different dependencies or the packages which we are going to use for this. Okay, so rather than wasting your time going to each and every individual package, I'm going to paste all of them like this. So these are the different packages which we are going to use. The first package is for Firebase authentication. So this will be used to implement the Firebase auth. Then we have Firebase Core. So there has been a recent updates with Firebase packages, and now you are required to use this Firebase Core if you want to use any of the Firebase functionality. Then we have this Google sign in, so that we can sign in with Google. I'm going to combine these both, so Firebase Auth and Google sign in. So we are going to sign in with Google, but it is going to be a Firebase Auth so that we can manage authentication with Firebase. Then we will use shared preferences to save the user information locally. We have random string. This will be used to generate some IDs, and this is the Cloud Firestore, which is basically Firebase Firestore. A lot of updates has been done on Cloud Firestore. So if you have watched my last series actually which I have created of creating a fully functioning chat application, that is the biggest part why I'm creating this video again, because a lot of changes has happened in this Firestore package, which are causing a lot of problems for a lot of people, right? So to continue with, now what I will do is I'll first get rid of this debug kind of this strip which we have. Let's first save this. So when I will save, it will automatically start running this Flutter packages get, or you can click on this button. If you are using Android Studio, there will be an option right over here to import the packages. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to in here, I'll say debug, and I'll say false. That will make sure to get rid of this. It does not look good. Okay, so we have a messenger clone in here. I don't like the elevation, I think, but since we are working on Android, I think we can continue with that. That's not a big problem. So first of all, we will start by implementing that search option. So how the search option works is we will have a search text field in here. There will be an icon. You can type the username and click on the search. So if that user with if any user exists with that username, it will be visible in the list then, and you can click on that and send him or her a message. Okay, so let's implement that. I'm going to go to my home screen. We are right now in the sign in screen, right? So before continuing to the home screen of search and stuff, let's first complete the sign in process. So sign in process is very simple. We basically want to implement the sign in with Google functionality. So these are the services for which I'm going to just create another folder. I'll call that services folder, and that folder is going to have two files. The first is going to be auth.dart and the second file is going to be database.dart. Okay, like that. If I go inside the auth.dart, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a lot of multiple functions in here. Usually I go for creating the sign up with email, sign in with email, then we will create the forgot password and stuff like that. But since we are using sign in with Google, we will be creating only two functions. The first function will be to sign in with Google, second function will be to sign out, and one function will be there to get the current user. So the whole reason why I'm going to create one more function to get the current user is because I want to make sure to persist the login state. So what do I mean by all of these fancy for persistence word, right? So the thing is, if a user signed into my application and he or she closes the application, if the application is opened again, in that case we want to make sure that the user is pre-logged in. We don't want to show the login screen again and again, right? So that's why basically what will happen if I have a function to get the current user is, in the main.dart I can run that function and check if we have a current user or not. If we have a current user, I'll send the user directly to the home.dart, which is our home screen. But if any case, if we don't have the current user, then I'll show the sign in screen. Okay, so I hope everything is clear so far. If you feel the video is a little bit fast, there is an option in YouTube where you can decrease the speed of it. So I hope that is not a problem. But if it is, at least do let me know in the comments so I can make them better in the for the upcoming videos. Okay, so we are going to first create a class to handle all of these different functions which we are going to create. I'm going to name this auth methods, and in here we are going to first create a final. I'll call it Firebase auth, sorry, auth, like that. And then I'll create auth is equals to Firebase dot instance, like that. Okay. And I guess I can just do it like this. Okay. So we have a variable which we can use to get the current user, which we can use to sign in with Firebase auth as well. And this is the one which we are going to use for sign out as well. So first I'm going to create a function to get the current user. Okay, creating that function is very easy. Let me just show you how quickly we can do that. So we will say get current user. This is the name of the function and these are the arguments. We are not accepting any argument, that's why this is blank. And this is the whole function where the function is going to be. Now inside of this get current user, we are going to just say return, and then we are going to say auth dot current user, like that. Okay, then I'm going to move on to create a function to sign in with Google. So I'll say sign in with Google. Okay, inside this function we are going to accept one very important thing, which is the build context. The reason for accepting the build context is because we will be required to get that context if we want to navigate from one screen to another. So basically the idea is that once the user is signed in with Google, I want to send the user to the home screen. So for doing that, we need to get the context. If you are not aware what context is, context basically defines the place you are in right now. So if you are on the home screen, if you are on the sign in screen, that is how we can know if we have the context. Okay, so let's move on with implementing the sign in with Google functionality. So first of all, we will start by creating a Firebase auth variable again. If you want, you can use this one, but I would just wanted to keep it separate for this one. So let me first say Firebase auth. Okay, and then I'll say Firebase auth is equals to Firebase auth dot instance. Okay, so nothing different. This is the same thing which we have done. And then I'll say final. Then I'll create one for Google sign in. So as I said before, we are going to use Google sign in, but we are going to connect both of these, Google sign in and Firebase, so that we can manage our authenticated user via Firebase, but we are giving them an option to sign in with Google. Now I'll say new Google sign in. Okay, so that is basic defining. Now I want to initiate the sign in with Google thing. So I'll say Google sign in account is equals to Google sign in account is equals to Google sign in, this particular one, Google sign in dot sign in. Okay, so we created a variable for this, and then we are going, okay, now this will take a time, so I'll say await in here. Now if you're not very much aware about await and async, I'll highly recommend you to videos which I have done. One which is building a wallpaper application, and the other one which I did was building a news application from scratch. Both of them has got really good support from the community, and are really being helped a lot of people to build their application. So they can really help you understand this async and await stuff much better. But in short, you can understand basically whenever there is a process which is going to take time to return the value, then we use await. Okay, await is basically specifying that we are not going to continue reading the code below until and unless this process is done. Basically, because what happens is, if I don't have this await in here, we are directly trying to get the value from this, right? So instantly it is always going to provide a value of null, right? So that is a big problem, because if it is always providing a value of null, that does not work, right? So that's the problem. That's why we use await. Now if we are using await, we need to make our function asynchronous, and that's why we use this keyword to make our function asynchronous. Okay, I hope everything is clear so far. Now let me go ahead and create final Google sign in authentication. Google sign in authenticate, sorry, authentication, and then I'll say Google sign in authentication is equals to await. Again, the same reason, it's going to take some time. Google sign in account dot authentication. Okay, I hope everything is clear so far. Now I'll create the auth credential. Now auth credential is basically we are creating the credential out of that sign in with Google option, so that with those credential we can sign in with Firebase auth. So I'll say Google auth provider dot credential. Okay, in here I'll say ID token. So there are two things which we need in there, which one will be ID token and another one is the access token. We can get both of them from the Google sign in authentication we just did. Google sign in authentication, where is that? There we go. Okay, Google sign in authentication dot ID token. Okay, and the second thing is access token. So I'll say access token, and then again I'll say Google sign in authentication dot access token. Okay, I hope everything is clear so far. Now next, once we have the credential, as I said, we are going to sign in with Firebase. So I'll say Firebase auth dot sign in with credential. Okay, now I can provide these credential which we got with sign in with Google, and there we go, the Firebase authentication is done. But what I want to do is, once the Firebase authentication is done, I want to get the user information. So what I'll do is I'll create user credential. Okay, this is actually a class with Firebase auth itself. It is not something which I created. It is something which is in inside the Firebase package itself. So then I'll say result, or let's just call it user credential, nothing special. User credential. So this is basically going to provide us the result as a user credential. Let's call it result just for now. This is a name, okay, so that's not a big deal. And I'm going to await for this. Okay, so now we have the result is basically user credential, and as you can see, I think it's not very clear, but with result we can get all of these different values. So I can say result dot user dot, you can see I can get all the users information. So that's the whole point of getting the result out of that Firebase auth which we did. Okay, now we have the user details. So I'll say user details is equals to result dot user. So kind of, rather than calling result dot user dot again and again, I'll just created another variable with result dot user. So this is a user variable, so we can directly now say user details dot display name, email verified, is anonymous, and stuff like that. Okay, so we have a lot of these stuff. What do we want to do next? Well, I want to first check if we are able to successfully sign in or not. Okay, so how can we test that? We can check if result is equals to null or not. So I'll say result is equals to null, then do nothing. If it is not equals to, then we want to do something, right? So I'll say if it is not equals to null, okay, then only we will continue, or else just return. Okay, then I don't want to do anything with that. So what do we want to do if the result is not equals to null? We want to save the user information to our local database. Then we will upload the user information to our Firebase Firestore database, because later on we want to implement the search functionality. I hope you remember, right? So to implement the search functionality, we have to upload the user information to our database. So how are we going to use shared preferences? Actually, using shared preference is so very easy. So let me show you how I exactly do that. So I'm going to go inside the lib folder, create a new folder, called it helper functions. Inside of that, I'm going to create a new file which is going to be called shared preference. Let's just call it shared pref helper. Okay, so this is basically shared preferences helper. I'm going to rename that to be .dart extension. Now again, I'm going to create a class called shared preference helper. Now, you may be wondering why I'm creating a class. For example, I did that for this oath as well. I am doing that for the shared preferences as well. Because if we create a class, we can directly access all the function inside of it by calling the class and then dot that particular function name, right? So that's why I usually incorporate all these different functions in a single class so that I can easily access them. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to create all these different save function which are going to save the information and get the information. So over here, we are going to say 5 information about the user. The number one information is user ID. Now, what is user ID? User ID is an ID generated by Firebase for each user who signs in. It is a random ID, so we don't have to um, kind of generate it ourselves or something. It will be generated by Firebase. So I would like to keep a track of that because later on, once I'm going to upload user information, upload the messages, create chat rooms, we are going to use that. Secondly, we will have a username key. So let me also start typing as well. So the first thing I said is user ID key. Now you may be wondering, Sanskar, why are you creating these keys? So just give me a second and I'll show you why. Okay. So first I'll say static string. And what do I need next? I want to save the username. So as I have already mentioned, we will be implementing search by username. So we need to have a username, right? Now, of course, you may already know that a Gmail user or a Google account user does not all have a username already, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get uh, the username from the email by removing @gmail.com from the email. So now you know that it is going to be unique all the time. It really helps, we don't have to implement the search to test again and again if the username exists or not, stuff like that. I hope that all makes sense till now, right? Okay. Now we are going to move ahead and say string, and then we also want to get the display name. So display name will be visible a lot, like for example when you're chatting with a other user, you want to see that and stuff like that. I'm going to create a key for this. I will say user display name key. Okay, so this is basically the key of it. And as I said already, don't worry, I'll tell you why I'm defining the keys already. So I'll say user email key. This is to save the user email. So I'll say user email key, like that. And then I'll have a static string user profile key is equals to user profile key. Now, the reason why I have created all of these keys, because how shared preferences works is you have to provide the key and then provide the value. So if you're saving the value, you just have to provide the key and the value. If you are getting the value, you need the key, right? So it is kind of a map where we save our value with a key, and we can access our value via key. So that's why I'm keeping a track of keys like this, because I don't want to misspell any of that, because it can really cause problems, and I will not be easily able to debug that issue, because our code editor will not be able to understand. I hope that last thing makes sense, why I am creating these separately rather than writing them again and again. Because as a human, I can make mistake, and I don't want that to cause problem, because once our application scales, it will really become very hard to debug these things which are not exactly able to be tracked by the code editor. Okay, so we are going to create functions to save data. So the first function is going to be to save. Let's save username. Now we need to accept the username, of course. So I'll say get username. And then this is actually just the name of a variable. So don't worry about why I used get or something like that. This is nothing special. This is basically a user, sorry, not a username. It's a variable name, right? I hope that is clear. Now, to use shared preferences, we have to first initiate it. So I'll say shared preference. No, I'll say shared preference says this one, and then I'll create a variable like that for it, and then I'll say await shared preferences, and then I'll say dot get instance. Okay, something like that. And since we are using await, we will have to make our function asynchronous. Now it's very easy, as I said, to use shared preference. You just have to say dot, and I want to save the value, so it is called set. So I'll say set string, because it is a string, of course, and here we have to provide the key. So what is the key for the username? Well, this is the key for the username. What is the value? This is the value. Okay, so I hope everything is clear so far. Now I'm going to return because this set function is going to return if it is successful or not. Okay, so if it is successful, then it will return 2. If it is not successful, then it will return. Okay, so we have a function now to save the username. Now let's create similar functions to save the display name, user email, and profile and stuff. So I'm not going to create them all again. I'm going to copy them so that I can save your time. But don't worry, all the source code is available on GitHub, and the link to source code will be in the description. So you can grab it from there. So all I did is like I have added this kind of return type to my functions, and this is a save user email. You can see there is no much difference than just changing the key and the value which we are accepting, right? So that's all what is changed, and all of these functions are very same. I think I have spelled it differently before. Okay, so this is profile pic. Okay, so basically I'm going to save the user profile picture URL. So that's what this is. Okay, so now we have a functions to save the information. Now let's see how we can create a function to get the information. So I'll just say get data. Now to do that, we just create a function called get user name, and then I'll go ahead, and this line is going to be the same, right? This is not something this is going to be the same. And then of course we are using await, so we need to make our function asynchronous. Now then I'll say preference dot, what do we want to do? We want to say get string, right? Because we are getting a string value. What is the key of it? Well, key is username key, and there you have it. You have provided the key, and now you have the value. Now of course we need to return this value, so that once we call this function, we can use the value which we are getting from it. Now we can define the return type of it as future string. Now first of all, why am I saying it is a future? Because it is going to take some time. When we get the value from shared preferences, it's not an instant process. It is going to take some time. Now the second reason why I'm using a string is because this is going to return a string. So I hope that all makes sense. Now again, same thing, I'm not going to create all the functions to get the different user information because they are just the same, and I hope it will be much easier for you to just go grab the code. I'll you know what I'll do, I'll link my blog link in the first link, so that you can follow up with the blog, and there will be a direct link to the shared preferences helper.dart file in this particular step of implementing shared preferences. Okay, so what do we want to do next? Now we have the shared preferences. So now let's move on and save the user information which we are getting from the Google sign in. So over here, I'll go here and I'll say shared preferences helper. Okay, and these brackets and then dot. Now you can see I can access all the different save and get function. So well, I want to use the save, so I'll just say save user email. How can I get the user email? I think I have told you that before. You can say user details that dot email. It's that easy. Okay, so for the next things, we are going to say shared preferences helper. Okay, let me just copy this like that. Dot, then I'll say save user ID. Okay, so we have saved the email. Now let's save the ID. How can we get the ID? We can say user details dot UID. Okay, it is called user ID, which is UID. Again, we will use shared preferences helper dot save. Now let's save the display name, for example. So to get the display name, you can just say user details dot display name. Isn't it easy? Like, do let me know if you are finding it interesting so far. Okay, so now we have a save display name. Next we will say is save user profile URL. Okay, so this will be used to show the profile picture of the user. I don't think I have shown that, but if you would like to, you can. So that's why I'm keeping it. If we have enough time, I'll obviously try to implement that quick as well. So over here, I'll say photo URL. Okay, so that is how we can get the photo URL. So now we have saved all the information. All we have left to do is upload this information to our Firestore database. So for that, I'm going to open up my Chrome browser. Let me just open it up. Where is that? Flutter. There we go. Here's my Chrome browser. I'm going to move to Firebase, and I'm going to use my this separate account for sample apps. There has been too many apps on my Gmail, like all my limits are exceeded kind of. So yeah, so you can see this is the one which I created last time. I'm going to call this messenger clone, and we will continue with that. I'm not going to use Google Analytics, so let's turn that off, create the project. It is going to take few seconds. But one question which I have for all of you guys is, if you are using Mac, please let me know in the comment, because I think major of people are just using Windows. So that in that case, we are only going to set up for Android. But obviously, I have covered to connect iOS application in different applications. So if you want to see how we can do that, there are different playlists available on the channel, but just wanted to get a view of what operating system you are using. So just do let me know in the comments what operating system you are using. Okay, so I'm going to go implement the Android. To implement the Android, I'll go open the Android folder, go to the app folder, go to the build.gradle, and over there I'll just copy this application ID, okay, from here, copy that, then I'll paste it here. Then I can click on register app. One thing which you can also do, you can implement this SHA1 because it is going to cause a little bit of a problem. Okay, what is it happening? Okay, we will because what is going to happen is when we are implementing the Google sign in, it is going to cause problem if you don't have a SHA1 key. So I'll show you how we can do that. So here's my Google services JSON file. Okay, we have a lot of them, which you might have already expected. So I'm going to open up this folder in my Explorer. Explorer is nothing but kind of, sorry, Finder. Yeah, Finder is basically Explorer of Windows, right? So I have to paste that Google Services file here. Now this has been renamed because I have a Google Services JSON file already in that particular folder where it got downloaded. So I'm going to remove that one. So now you have the Google Services JSON file inside the app folder. So let's move back and see what we have to do next. So now the next step is to click on next. We need to add this green line of code to our project level build.gradle file. So what do I mean by project level build.gradle file? If you go inside the Android folder, inside app folder, we have one build.gradle file and we have one build.gradle file outside. The outside one is called project level and this inside one is called app level. So I'm going to open up this project level file and I have to paste that green line of code inside this dependencies, which is inside the build script. Okay, what is next? We have to go inside the app level build.gradle file and we have to add this line. So copy that line, go to the app level build.gradle file and paste it, right? Next, we have to copy this implementation, which is copied, and I'll just paste it here. Okay, so far all of this is done. Let me save this, close that, save this one as well. Now, as I have mentioned that while we are importing the packages, that we are using Firebase core, right? So the reason for using Firebase core is we have to first initialize Firebase, then only we will be able to use any of its services. So this is the easiest and the fastest way to initialize Firebase with Firebase core. So first what we will do is we will say widgets flutter binding dot ensure initialized. Then I'll say await Firebase. Okay, so I need to make this asynchronous for that. I'll say Firebase. You can see import from Firebase core. Just click enter. Dot initialize app. And just these two lines of code will be more than enough to initialize our application with Firebase. So now we have done all of that part. What is left? Well, now, as I said, we will be uploading the data to Firestore. So let me click on next and continue to the console. Now, to use Firestore, you have to go to the Cloud Firestore and then we have to click on get started. So if we can click on create database, we are going to start in production mode, but we are going to change this so it does not matter. You can use test or production. We are going to change this rules anyways. Okay, so I'm going to change the rules first before continuing to anything because a lot of times I do this mistake of, I know that time of creation that I will be changing the rules, but then I start doing something else and forget about it. So I don't want this to happen at this time at least. So I'll just give it a second, few seconds, and once this is done, then I'll update the rules. Then only we will continue with anything else, right? So okay, it's completed. Now I'm going to go to the rules over here and This is the rules right now. Allow read and write if false, which basically creates a condition which is always saying no, right? So it is always saying no to read and write, whatever the case. So I'm going to change that to always saying yes, right? And that is going to take care of read and write. So now even if you're not authenticated, you can read and write. So what do we want to do next? Well, we have, let me close that. We have to go to the authentication part because we have to turn Google sign in on, right? Because it's not. So we have to click on get started. Okay, by the way, if you don't know, it's free of cost to use Firebase, just to give you an idea. So now I'll enable this one, and public facing name is basically, when someone will click on sign in with Google, it will show a pop-up, and in that pop-up, Google actually have your name there, right? So I'll just call it Messenger Flow, Messenger Flow, and I'll just select the email, and then I'll click on save. Okay, okie dokie. So you can see it is saying about the set up the SHA fingerprint. So let me quickly show you how we can do that. Let me just open up a new browser window, and I'll say, let me just make sure it's visible to you as well. So I'll say SHA1 key generate. So there is a basically this particular one. So I'll add this link in my blog post, as I said before. All the links will be available in the blog post. The blog post link will be in the description. So basically we have to copy this for debug mode. So initially we are going to implement this for now debug. Once you are releasing the application, then you can use this release mode key. So I'm going to copy the debug one, go to my like project, open up the terminal and paste that and hit enter. I'm not sure about the secrecy of these, like, so let me just try to get that SHA1 key, close that. I'm going to go to the users. Where should I go next? Well, we are going to go into the project settings, and I'm going to add that fingerprint and click on save. Okay, so once that is done, let's go back to the authentication, and now I'm going to dismiss. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and implement the upload of data. So how I want the data to be uploaded is, if we go to the Cloud Firestore, there will be a collection called users. Inside of that collection, we have a user ID, okay, whatever it is. And in the user ID, we will have information like username. We will have, I don't know, we can have user password. Sorry, no, not password. We don't save password in the Firestore. We can save user ID, of course. We can save username. We can save profile URL. So we have 4 things in here. I'm missing something. Do we are saving email? Yeah, so last will be email. So these are the 5 things which we will save, and this is how the structure of our database will look like. So now let me show you how you can upload or do this from your application, because of course you're not going to open your database for each user, right? So for this we are going to create some functions, and that are going to go inside this database.dart. Now since we are done with Android setup with Firebase, I'm going to just collapse this particular folder. Going inside the database file, I'll just create a class called database methods, and inside of that I'm going to, we don't need this because this is only required for functions. Inside of that, what I'll do is I need to create a function to upload the user information to database. So to create that, I'm going to create a function called add user info to database. Okay, that is the function name. These are the arguments if we want to accept any. And over here we will start by saying Firebase Firestore dot instance. So now this is the updated version. If you will see my last whole playlist on creating a fully functioning chat application with Flutter and Firebase, this was different, right? At that point of time, we used to use Firestore dot instance stuff like that. So yeah, these are the things which are changed. Now I can say collection. So this is how the like structure of our database is. We have a collection. Collection can have unlimited amount of documents, and that documents can have information which are in a map. key value pairs, and there is another collection which we can start inside a document. So this is how we structure the data. So we want to go inside the users collection first. So I'll specify that here I want to go inside the collection called users, and then I want to add a value. Now there is a reason why I'm saying add. There are two ways to update or upload this information. First is you can say add. Second is you can say doc dot set. So this ID you're looking right over here, I have made that to be user ID. So this is going to be uniquely user ID for each user. It actually helps, while you are doing upcoming functions. So if you want to update the user information, things like that, it will be much easier if you can have the document ID as the user ID. So if you want to have this particular ID of document, something custom or something which you want to provide, in that case use this dot doc dot set. So in the doc now you can provide the user ID. But if you want to left that to Firebase, so for example if you want this to be a random ID, then you can just say dot add. So in that case Firebase will generate a random ID for you. So we will be using this one for this. So I need to accept the user ID, so I'll say string user ID. Now actually we can get the user ID in this itself, but I'm going to just accept it from the function. So we have the user ID. So now what I'm going to do is there are two options when it comes to this data. Now this data is nothing but a map. So we can actually create a map here and send it via the function, or we can create the map right over here accepting all the values. I am actually going to accept the map, so I'm just going to say map, and map is going to have string type, a data type of keys, and dynamic data type of values, and this map is nothing but the user info map. Okay, so this is it. So this is what I'm going to upload. Okay, now we need to accept this, right? So I'm going to go ahead in here. I'll say database methods. Again, I said I'm creating classes so that I can access the function inside of them via those classes. So I'll say add user information. I need to provide the user ID, so I'll copy that. I need to provide this user info map. So this is how the map will work. Obviously, you know that the data type of the key is going to be string, which you can notice here. All these keys are string, but the data type of this value can be different, right? So that's why I named that to be dynamic. Now, for the name, I'm just going to use the same name for the map. And this is how we define a map. Map is a collection of key value pairs. So we need a key. So key can be something like email. And what is the email? Email is this one. Then we need a username. So I'll say username. And I hope it is, I made that clear how I'm creating the username. I'm using the email ID and then dot replace all @gmail.com with nothing. So this will give me a username. Now the next thing is I want the display name, so I'll just call it a name, and I'll say user details dot display name. Okay, the next is going to be image URL, so I'll say image URL profile URL, which we can get from here. Okay, so this is basically the image URL of the profile URL of the user. This can be used to show the profile picture of the user logged in the home screen, and to save it when you are saving or sending the messages and stuff. Okay, so we have this all now. What do we want to do next? Well, first of all, we want to be notified or get updated when this is done, this particular function of add user to database. So I'll return this and make this a future, and basically I want to await for this to be done, then only I want to continue. So I'm going to just make it an asynchronous function. So now until unless once this is done, I want to do something. So since I have made this function asynchronous, I can go inside here and I can say dot then. Okay, now I can do then is basically used to do something once the all the things inside that function is done. And this value is not of any use because this is going to give us the user ID which we provided, because it actually provides the document ID of the document created. But since we are the one who is providing the document ID, so you know that we are going to get this user ID in here. So we don't want to use that, but let's keep it there. What I do want to do is I want to send the user to the home screen. So let's see how we can do that. I'll say navigator dot, I will use push replacement here because I want to push that next screen above, not just above of it. I want to replace the sign in screen. Basically this push replacement, just to clarify what it means, is I'm going to remove the sign in screen with my home screen, so the user will not be able to click on the back button and go back to the sign in screen. Okay, if I have any intention that I want to keep the next screen above of it, so that you know user can click on the back button and he or she will be able to come back to the last screen, then in that case I would have used only push. Now, for the material, for the root, we are going to use the material root. This is nothing but basically the animation which is going to be happening. So it is material page root. UTP. Okay, so this is basically the animation which kind of happens when we move from one screen to another. I'll provide the context because that defines where I am right now. And then I'll say arrow that I want to go here. So I want to go to the home. So I'll just say like that. And I'll import the home by clicking on that and then just save it. So once all of that is saved, let me just restart the application. Of course, there's going to be no change. We do have created the function, but we haven't kind of used them anywhere, right? So I'm going to go inside the sign in screen, create a body section, create center widget. Now center widget is used to align items in center. I hope that kind of makes sense. So we will have a container here. Why am I creating container? Container is actually going to be a custom button for sign in with Google option. So I'll say text and the text says sign in with Google. Let me just quickly grab the color hex code which I used for Google sign in, which is this. So I hope you know the hex code is like 6-digit code for any color. Just, yeah. So now to provide the color to this container, we can just say color. Now I am using a hex code color, right? So I have to do it like this 0xff and like that. Okay, if you wanted to use some of the predefined color, then you can say colors dot amber or something like that. So you can see we have that red color, but we want to customize it quite a lot. So I'll say padding edge insets dot symmetrical horizontal around 16 and vertical around 8. Okay, I think the font size should be a little bit large. So I'll say text style font size. I'll go ahead with 16. I want a little bit of a border radius, which I really like. So I'm going to remove the color. Now you may be wondering, wait a second, what is the relation? Why did you remove the color? Because whenever we are using our radius, we will use the box decoration. And if you are using box decoration, you cannot define the color outside. Now I'll say border radius dot circular, and that is going to be around 24. So this is how I want this to look like. I also want to provide it a bit of a color, so I'll say colors dot white. So this is the sign in with Google button. So what I want is whenever someone will click on it, so I want to implement a on click functionality to a widget. There are two ways to do that. You can either use Inkwell or you can use a gesture detector. So let's continue with gesture detector over here, and in the next someone I'll show you how to use Inkwell as well. Over here I want to call this particular function, which is sign in with Google. To call that, I'll say auth methods sign in with Google and provide the context, and the rest of it will be taken care by this function itself. So anything else I would like to do? Let's see, let me reload that. We have added the SHA1 key. So let's, finger crossed, hope this works. Let me just reload this. Click on sign in with Google. If it worked, which it does not seems to be. Let me just close everything and restart the application again. In the meantime, if you are at the same pace, good job. Click that like button. You have watched a lot without clicking that. So yeah, click that like button. It really helps to understand you are enjoying the video. And if you're not at the same pace, you are somewhere behind, please feel free to let me know in the comments where you are stuck. And yeah, we want to make sure that you can complete the whole video and completed this application, because if you have watched till now, don't just go, because you have invested some time. Let's just complete this application, it is going to be helpful for you. Okay, so some problem occurred. I think it can be a multidex issue because we have added Cloud Firestore. Let me go to the debug console. Okay, what is the error? Okay, so multidex issue. You can see cannot exceed 64. Whenever you see this, it is a multidex issue. How to solve that? It's actually very easy. Let me just, yeah, one thing which you should know about me, I do Google a lot, but I don't. So yeah, this is the one which we are going to implement. We have to implement the multi-text support. So the first thing which we will do is we will go to this Android, and we will click on this build.gradle. I'll close that, paste it here. You can remember this as well, multi-text enabled true. But this is the line which is the next, which is implementation. I'm just a bit lazy to learn this. I I usually just Google that, and Google is good enough to save that for me at the top. So anyhow, we have to just implement these two lines whenever you are using a Cloud Firestore. Okay, so make sure to remember this. Whenever you are using Cloud Firestore, just implement this multi-text. I suggest this on every video, and myself forget about it, right? That's not right. I should do something, but anyhow, usually I face the problem and then I fix it. So it's not that big of a problem, but yeah, of course it can be helpful if not have to. So let's just give it a few seconds and the application is going to run again. In the meantime, one thing which we can implement is the persistence thing. So whenever if a user is signed in and we have sent the user to the home screen, if he or she closes the application and opens it again, we want to show the home screen because it's already signed in. To implement that, we have to go to the main.dart file, and over there we will be implementing a future builder function. So let's first give this sign in with Google a try. If it works, good. If it does not, then we have to choose something separate or like fix it. Okay, so it's saying, I don't know, what is it saying? Failed to load. We are in the home, so how is it said? Like, all is well if the end is well, right? So I hope everything's fine. So now let's move on to the future builder. So what am I doing? What is this future builder? So let me clear the idea first. What we are trying to implement, we want to make sure that the user state is persistent, which means if he or she have logged in once, if he or she closes the application, the user don't have to sign in or log in again, right? To do that, what I will use is I will use a future builder. How future builder works is we will be providing it two things. First is future and the second is builder. Wow, how how imaginative is that, right? So we will provide future and the second is going to be the builder. So future will accept a function which is going to take some time. So I have actually created a function exactly for this purpose, which is going to be dot get current user. We are getting the current user. It is going to take some time, but once we have the current user, we can use that in this builder. So I can go say context. What is context? Context defined where I am. Second, we have async snapshot, which is basically the data which we got, from this future function, which is a snapshot like that. Now inside of that, I can say if the snapshot dot has data, which means if we get any data from this current user, which means we are logged in that case I want to return home. I want to show the home screen. If we are not logged in and we are not returning any data, in that case we want to show the sign in screen. We will be required to import home in here, and if I'll save that, you can see it's like this. Okay, we are seeing that user is not a type of subtype of dynamic, so I think we can make it a user, or maybe we can get rid of it. Okay, I think I know what the problem is. We need to specify the return type of it, which is going to be the or maybe not. Just a second. If I go back to the main.dart, if I just remove the dynamic with user, what am I missing? It's saying the type user is not a subtype of future user. If I go in here, if I use await and asynchronous, will that fix it? Yes, it does. So that was the problem. But anyhow, um, we are in the home screen now. And let me just show you at least. So if I'll close the application and I'm going to run the application again, I am expecting to see the home screen, not the sign in screen. So let's see that. And in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to implement the sign out functionality. So I'll go inside this sign in screen. I'll go at the top over here. Sorry, in the home screen actually. I'll go and I want that to be, kind of the corner option. To implement that kind of corner option in the app bar, we use something called actions, and we will have an icon. And I'm using a material icon, so I can use it like icons dot. I want to use something called exit to app. And if I'll save that, you can see this is the home screen and we are able to see that instantly. So yeah, thumbs up on the last thing which we did. And we have this sign out option. I'm going to wrap this with a container which is going to have a little bit of a padding at the both side. Edge insets dot symmetrical horizontal around 16, just to make it a little bit of space. I want to implement a on click, so I'll wrap it with a widget. We used Inkwell or I think gesture detector last time, so this time let's use Inkwell. So I'll say on tap, and what do I want to do on tap? I want to call that sign out function which I have defined in auth methods. So I'll say auth methods, and then I'll say sign out dot sign. Sorry, what was the name of that function again? Okay, I haven't implemented it. Shabash. Okay, so let me just go to the next line and implement that sign out function quick. So it's a very easy function. You just have to say this. You just go in here. Okay, sign out async, because it's going to use a wait. First, signing out is so easy as auth.sign out. Sign out. As easy as that. What is auth? Auth is something which we defined in here. But when we are signing the user out, we also want to make sure we remove all the information from the shared preferences. Now, to use the shared preferences, we have this one line kind of patented, like you have to use it, right? So we use this, we defined a variable for that, and then we will say prefs dot clear. This will clear all the information saved in the shared preferences by our application. So I can now save that. We have an error in the home, so what is that? Okay, now we can use the sign out function dot sign out. Now if I'll save that, and if I click on this sign out, I think we are signed out, because if I will save this, you can see I'm over here, but I was not redirected. So what I'm going to do is, when we are sign out, I'll say dot then. If I want to use the dot then, I need to wait for the sign out. So I'll go in here, and what I want to do then, so let me say dot then. I want to go to the sign in screen, push replacement again, material page row builder context, and we want to go to the sign in screen. And now I'm going to import the sign in screen. Are we? Yeah, we are in the home. So if I'll save that, let me click on sign in with Google again. Now, of course, we have already selected a Google account, so it will not even show me an option. It will just instantly sign me up with Google. And we have the sign out option. If I'll click on that, it should sign me out and show me the sign in screen. For some reason, I guess this then is not working as expected. Don't know why. Just a second. Okay, let me make this a future. And if I'll save that now, click on this again. Okay, I need to get rid of that. I'll click on this. You can see I'm redirected here. I can click on sign in with Google, and I can click on this again to sign out. So everything is working perfectly as it should. So what is the next step? Next step is to implement the search user with the username. We will be able to search the user and then click on it and send him or her a message and say, hello, how are you? So uh, let's continue doing that. So first thing first, I'm going to close this, go to the home dart, and over here I'll go create a body section. So I'll say body. Over here we will have a container. Container will have a child, and that child is going to be a column. What is a column? Well, column is used to align widgets vertically. So the first thing I want is a row. Now what is a row? Row is used to align widgets horizontally. So what are the widgets I want to align horizontally is, first is the text field. What is a text field? Text is kind of an input box, right? And we need an icon. Icon is basically going to be the search icon we have. Icons.search. So whenever you're using text field inside of row, make sure to wrap the text field inside an expanded widget. So you can see we have a text field. This is the what is text field, and this is the icon. Now in the text field, I want to give a bit of a decoration. Decoration is nothing but I don't like the border line. I don't want the border line, and I want a hint text. So for that, we will use something called decoration, and specifically input decoration. Inside input decoration, we can mention border input border dot none. Okay, then I can mention that so you can see the border line is gone. I want the hint text, so I said hint text. So hint text will be username. So now you can see username is visible. Of course, this kind of blank look does not look good, so I'm going to have it something like messenger. So let me show you how messenger looks like. Messenger, sorry, not maps, not news. Where's the images? Yeah, there we go. Not this one, maybe. Where is the image? Okay, this is the image. So you can see we have this kind of search, right? A little bit of a border. We have the search for people. So that is what we are going to implement. So I'm going to create something like that. Let's go in the row. I'm going to wrap my row with the container. Why am I doing that? Because container have these properties of that, you can use decoration, box decoration, and then you can have border. You can have border radius, you can have color and stuff like that. So that's what I want. I'll say border, and border will have all these properties. I want both border from all side first. So all will have these properties of color, width and style. So I will say color will be colors.black, which is a material color which we already have available with Flutter. We don't have to provide any specific hex code. Then the next thing which it was asking for was width. So width is going to be 1, and that's what I'm going to keep. And the next thing is going to be the style. So I do want the style to be kind of solid, which means it's border style to be solid. So I'll say border style dot solid. Hey, just a second. Border style dot solid, and I'm going to see what's the problem is. So it is saying too many positional arguments. So I think I have specified a okay, I know what's the problem. I need to first say style, then provide the border solid. Correct. So now you can see this is how it looks like. Of course, this is not what we want. So I'm going to go inside in here, and rather than providing a margin to this, I'll say margin edge insets dot symmetric. So basically I want a little bit of a horizontal space from this side and this side. So I'll say horizontal 16. I think 24 will be better. Not 124, 24 is fine. So yeah, a little bit of space. I think 16 is fine. What's happening? Yeah, I think 20 is fine. Whatever value you feel comfortable or like with. So now I want a little bit of a space from the top. So what I'll do for that is I'll say margin edge insets dot only, because I just want it from the top. So I'll say from top I want You know what? I may need it for bottom as well. So I'll just make it symmetric and make it vertical. How much I want from vertical? Let's say around 16. 1, 6. Okay, so now I want a little bit of a border radius. This sharp edges does not look good. So I'm going to go, where am I going to go? Over here. And just after this, I'll say border radius. And border radius is going to be circular around 8. If I'll save that, no, 8 does not look good. I will go with 24. Now this is what I want. Now, I don't know for what reason, but this border looks a little bit thin to me. I'm going to make it a little bit of a solid. I don't know why it is happening like this. You know what? I'm going to make this gray. Yeah, I think that looks much better. We can always increase this because I think it should be, but 24 is, I guess, something good enough. I would require a little bit of a padding in here as well because it looks too close. The hint text you can see. Um, I want it from all the sides around 8 maybe. No, it does not look good from all the sides. So I'll just use it for the horizontal one. So I'll use the symmetric first and then I'll use the horizontal. And I think 16 will be good enough for that. Looks good so far. Right now I can type in a username and I can search for it. Now, to search, we have to implement a query which is going to be run whenever we will click on that. But before we do that, here is one thing which you need to understand. This is a screen, a single screen, which is going to have both the option. The first option is to search. The second option is to see all the users we have already interacted with. By interaction, I mean like the chatting. So if you have already chatted with some users, that list should be visible right over here. So what I want to do is initially the list of the people we have contacted will be visible. But once you will type something in here and click on this, that list will be hidden and a list of users by that search will be visible. At that time, I also want to show a back button in here so that if user want to go back, see the list of people he have contacted, just click on that back button. That is how actually it works in Messenger as well. So how can we do that? Well, first let's create a Boolean value to keep a track of that. So I'll say Boolean is searching is equals to false. So initially we are not showing that. I'll go just before this container row. I'll wrap it inside a row because I want that icon to be side of it. So I'll say icon, icons dot back. It's actually arrow back, this one. And if you are using that, you have to expand it this. So it was not visible instantly. So what I did is I just click on this restart option and it is now visible. So what do we want to do next is we want to have a little bit of a space between this arrow and this search option. So to create a horizontal space, we can use sized box with a width of around 8. Okay, and if I'll save that, you can see we have a space. If you want to increase that, you can always feel free to increase this value. I think 12 will be good. Yeah, so this is there. Now I want this icon and this sized box to be visible only and only if we are searching, right? When we have typed something and we have clicked on this search. So rather than handling them separately, I'll just provide my icon a padding. So I'll say padding and I will provide the padding from just one side. I'll say padding from edge insets dot only. I want that from the right side, so I'll say right around 12, right? So you can do it like this. So the reason why I'm not using size box in this because now I have a single widget to handle for when to be shown and when not to be, right? So when we are searching, when this is true, when we are searching, then I would like to show this, or else I would like to show a container. So what will happen now is you can see it's not visible because we are not searching right now, but we will make this searching to be true whenever we will click on this search icon. So I'll go into the search icon over here. We have, yeah, so I'll wrap it with a widget. I'll call it a gesture detector. detector. And I hope like both of the things are clear now. You gesture detector and inkwell, they are very similar, and I am trying to use them like both so that you can learn about both of them. So now I'm going to say is searching to true. Now you will be like, Sanskar, wait. You also make this what is called set state. What is that? Well, this is a set state. It is used to update the user interface with the latest information available. So since I'm updating this value, I want this user interface to be recreated with the latest information. So when to do that, we call this set state. Okay, you can do it after this as well, like like this, um, like that. Okay, so all of the things, once they are done, you can call this set state and the user interface will be updated accordingly. So for example, if I'll click on this now, you can see this is searching has turned to true, because it has turned to true when it was creating this whole screen again. It is now showing this. Now what I will do is I'll implement a click on this one as well, gesture detector on tab. So what will happen is I will make this false if you will click on this back button, and at the same time I will clear this text field as well. Okay, so right now we are not keeping a track of this text field, so let me show you that first. To keep a track of what the user is writing in a text field, we will create something called text editing controller. Editing controller. So we can name it text editing controller, but it is actually a search username editing controller, and then I'll say is equals to text editing controller. Okay, like that. Then what I'll do is I'll provide this to my text field. How can we do that? We can just say controller and then provide that. Now I can control the text in this text field via that controller. So I can say controller.text is equals to blank. Okay, so now of course, as I said before, we need to update the set state so that the user interface is updated according to the latest information, which it's saying that is searching is false, which means this will not be visible anymore. So let's give it a try. I'll click on this and you can see it's not visible anymore. I click on this, it is visible. I click on this, it is not visible. Okay, so I want to do something when there is something written in this. So I want to search for that particular. So for example, if I write here Sanskar, I want to search for that user, right? So first, let's see if our user info is uploading perfectly. So you can see this I am Sanskar Tiwari user has been created with the email which I have logged in with, right? So what I will do now is I'll remove this because I want to log in again and Google will log in me to the same account. So I will install this application first. So where is the messenger clone? I hope this is the one. So I'll install this application. And then what I'll do, I'll go ahead over here and click on run again. Now the next step is going to be that I'm going to log in with another email and then search for this user called I am Sanskar Tiwari. And the whole purpose is going to be implementing search so that we can search for a user by a username and get all of his information. Once we have all of the information available, we can create a chat room with that user and we can chat with him or her, right? So let's give it a second and I'll be right. Okay, so the application is running successfully. Now, as I said, the next part is to sign in with another Gmail account other than this I am Sanskar Tiwari. So I'll just use the Indian app guy one. And once we are signed in, we will be searching for this user with this I am Sanskar Tiwari username. So how can we do that? Well, I'll just go in here. I'll type I am Sanskar Tiwari. There we go. So what do I want to do is whenever the user will click on the search icon, I want to make a query in my Firestore database that I want to get a user whose username is equals to this. So let me show you how we can actually write a query. So we will first go inside the database.dart. Let me, get rid of all the other files which we don't want to use. So I'll say close others and no, not close others. We was using home. But anyhow, I'll go inside the database and I'll make a query. So how this query is going to work, let me clear this again. We are going to search user by username. So let's just call this function get user by username. It will accept the username first, of course. We will need the username to search for the user by username. And it will work like this. We will say Firebase Firestore.instance. This is how all the queries or, kind of set get thing is going to work. Firebase Firestore.instance. This basically helps us go to the main over here, this particular dashboard, right? So then we can, start going in from this side. I can say I want to go inside this collection or maybe another collection, and then we can go inside the document and so on and so forth. This is basically kind of the starting point of our Firebase Firestore database. Now, once we are inside of that, where do I want to go? Well, I want to go inside the users collection. So I'll say users, and inside of that, I'll say where we have to provide the field. So I want to track this particular field. So I am inside users, and where I want to check this username, where this username is equal to. So you can see we have a lot of options in here, right? So I'll say is equals to the one which we have received here. Okay, I hope everything is clear so far. And I'll say dot snapshots. So I can have the latest data by any means. So anyhow, so now we have this. This is going to return a stream. You can actually use docs as well, but I have done it with stream, so I don't want to change something in the middle of it in the middle of the video, because I have done that before, and it actually sometimes kind of take more time for others, so I don't want to do that for you guys. But don't worry, if you are facing any problem, again, feel free to comment it down below. I'm here to help you guys. So now this is, I specified the return type of the function, that it is going to be a future, and future of stream query snapshot. How do I know that? Well, I saw the this, and I know that it is a stream of query snapshot, and this is going to take some time, so it is a future. So I'm going to make it return await, and I'll make it asynchronous function like that. I don't need await, I guess, but yeah. Okay, so now we are returning it like this. Any questions so far? Feel free to comment them down. Okay, so now how can I call this function? Well, I'll just go in here to this icon, and we already have implemented the gesture detector. I don't want this to work if we have nothing written. So for example, if this is blank, then I don't want this to work. How can I know if it is blank or not? I can say if, then I can use the controller, which is called search input controller, search username, editing controller dot text. I can say is not equals to blank. Okay, then only I'll do this, which is this process. Where it is gone, man? This, right? Let me just get rid of this side one. Okay, so I'm saying is searching true and set state to like this. Now, I don't want to do just that. I actually want to search for the user. So in that case, I will need to use the database methods. And which method exactly? I want to use the get username method. So I need to provide the username, which we can get through it like that. Now, one thing which is very important right over here is I don't want to just get information like this. I am going to create a separate function in here, because I'm going to do multiple things on this click. So I'll say on search button click. This is a function name, by the way, and I'm going to do this here. Now this is actually returning a future stream of query snapshot. So it's actually returning a stream. So I'll say stream, and I'll call this users stream. Now this stream will be saved like that. Now this is a future, so I'll say await, and if I'm using await, I need to make my function asynchronous. Correct those. So now we will just cut that out, remove that, and I'll just call that function called on, what is it called, search button click, and just use the semicolon. That's all. Okay, so now I will be doing this is searching. You know what, I'll do this once I think it's fine to do it here. Now I'm getting the user stream. Now with this user stream, I would like to create a list of users. So I'll create a widget. Now this is an interesting widget if you haven't created a widget like this. So basically by creating it like kind of a function, think of it like that. You define a name of the function, but the return type is a widget, right? So what is the name of this widget? I'm going to name this search users list. Okay, so this is going to return a stream builder, because we have a stream, and through that we are going to create a list. So I'm going to say stream builder. Stream builder will first accept a stream. So stream is this users stream, and then we will have a builder. So I'll say builder, and builder will have a context and the snapshot, which is nothing but the data, which is this, which we got from this stream. Via this builder, we will be return a list view dot builder. Inside that list view builder, what I'm going to do is, just a second. Inside that list view builder, two things are very important in this: item count and item builder. So I'll say item count. How can I get the item count? Well, first of all, I know this is the data which you are getting. Then in the snapshot, we will say dot data dot documents dot length. So basically we got the data from the snapshot and then we said documents because it is a query, and making a query inside of a collection returns multiple documents, right? Now, of course, it is a reason for this particular query. We know that a single document is going to, kind of verify or follow this particular query. In that case, we are just receiving one document. We are going to receive only one document, but that's how this query works. So we will be kind of expecting multiple documents. So that's why we will go inside the snapshot. We will say snapshot.data, which is the data which we received from it, which was a query snapshot. And from that query snapshot, we said data.documents. We got all the documents, and then I said, what is the length of it? Now, the second thing is we want the item builder. So I'll say item builder. Item builder always have this context and index. Now I'll just say return, okay. And I'll just show a simple, let's say, what should we show? Let's start by showing the profile image URL. Okay, so rather than text, I'm going to say image.network because we are using the URL. And how can we get this particular one? Well, we will create a document snapshot. Wait, what is document snapshot? Well, this was the snapshot of the whole data. Now, for individual document, we can get the snapshot. Now, you will be like, how can we get that? Well, let's call it document snapshot first of all, specifically for this particular index. And to get the document at this particular index, we can just say snapshot.data.documents and then provide the index. It's that easy. Now, once we have the document snapshot, you can just think of it, it is a document snapshot. So what is the exact data that a document contains? Well, you guessed it right. It is a map. What is a map? Map is a collection of key value pairs. So how can we get a value of a key inside from a map? We can just say the name of the map, and then we can provide the key. So I want to get the image URL. So I'll say image URL like that. Now if I will save that, let's go back and see if that works. So I'm going to hot restart and I'm going to click on this. So once I clicked on it, what would had happened? So of course it is inside of this particular on button search click. The user stream was able to get the value, but I think we need to call this set state again once this is done. So what I will do is I will say set state after this. Okay, we are not showing this list anywhere. That is also a problem. Where should I show this? Well, I would like to show it just below this particular row, right? So I'll just go inside the row and I'll say comma first of all, and then I'll show this particular list. If I'll save that, okay, it says class query snapshot has no instance of documents, receiver null or whatever. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is I need to first make sure we have some data here. So to know if this snapshot has any data or not, you can just say dot has data. If it has data, then I'll show the list view builder. If it does not have data, then I'll show a center child circular progress indicator like that. Now I'm going to restart the application. And here I'm going to search for I am Sanskar. Now I don't want to show this particular search user list if we are not searching. So let me implement that quick. So what do I want to show when we are not searching? I would like to show a widget, which is actually chat rooms list. Because chat room is basically a chat room created with between multiple users. So I'll just say in here is searching. If the user is searching, then we will show the search users list. If he or she is not searching, then I'll show the chat rooms list. Chat rooms list. So now it is saying column children must not contain any null values, but are okay. So this is actually returning nothing. So let me just return container at least. Okay, if I'll add a semicolon. Okay, so now I can type IAM Sanskar Tiwari, and if I'll click on the search, it says class query snapshot has no instance getter documents, blah 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 blah. Let's fix this, right? So what am I doing wrong? First thing first, whenever you are using a widget of list view inside a column, because you can see at the end of the day, this is a column where we go, where it is, this one, and this particular widget of list inside is inside of that column. So make sure to use shrink wrap. Once we have shrink wrap, now let's move on to this problem. So it is saying that no such method error. Documents. So let me make sure I have spelled that correct. Documents. Documents. Okay, that seems to be correct. And what about this one? So like for example, this document item builder. So documents.length, that is correct. And if we talk about document snapshot, we have data.documents, then we provided the index. It looks right to me. I don't know what can be the problem. It's saying instance of query snapshot. Getter is so it is saying getter documents, which means we are saying dot something somewhere, right? Um, okay, so just for the context, we are getting this value. Am I saving that? Let me just click on save again. Okay, we are getting that value. Am I returning it? That is a big question. Yeah, I'm returning that. Okay, we are getting that by username. We are typing users. We are searching for inside the collections of users, which is correct, correct, correct. Let me get rid of this user ID. It was a sample document anyways. Um, we have this I am Sanskar Devari. I think I'm writing the username correct is equals to, right? Okay, let me go back to the error again. So it is mentioning that no such method error. Class query snapshot. Where is the query snapshot again? Okay, has no instance getter documents. So I think somewhere this is the problem. So let me check in the debug console which particular line is causing the problem. So it is saying 72 lines. So let me check what the line is doing. Column. Okay, column is causing the problem. Not sure if that is right. Because sometimes basically, okay, so it's saying line 28. Irrevel widget causing error was this stream builder. So the stream builder is causing the error, right? Class query snapshot has no instance of document. Okay, so let me just fix this first. I'll go here and say documents dot length. I'll save that. Okay, again same problem. If I'll comment this down, let's say I just mentioned that to be one, it's still a problem, so that proves that the problem is not here. um let's say if I just grab this all and paste it here, where is the problem again? Let's search for the user. I am and search for it again. Okay, so it says we have a problem and we have the problem in the line 28. So the line kind of doesn't change. Okay, so it's in the stream builder. Okay, it doesn't look like the problem was there. So let me just comment back. Okay, so it is saying it is inside the stream builder for some reason. Okay, let me just make sure to confirm everything if it is fine not. We have a users stream. How are we updating that user stream? We are saying is equals to database methods dot get user by username. Once we have that, we are updating the state. So basically we are updating. So once updated, then only we will have something in here. Then we can, kind of show that. But I think the problem which we are facing is that no such query method. So I would not like to consume a lot of your time. So just give me a few minutes and I'll be right. So I'm back. Basically, what happened is this is what we are trying to do. So let me just be where we was. We were facing this problem. Why this documents is causing error? Well, the problem is Firebase has seems to be updated their packages. So the first thing is don't use like this. So I'm using them without mentioning their the version code. What I will do is I will mention all the latest version code in the blog post. So visit the link and make sure to use the right version, because They are kind of updating this very frequently. I don't know why, but this documents was working yesterday, but it's not working today. So what has changed? Let me just yeah. So what has changed is now this documents is called docs, and if you save that, ta-da, it's working. So it's fixed, but just make sure to visit the link in the description, which is the blog post where I'll be mentioning each and every latest version of all of these. Okay, so we have the image, you can see, that's not exactly how I wanted that. So let me just give it a quick height. So maybe I just want it to be height of 30. I want the width to be width to be 30, like that. Looks good. Okay, but I want this to be a bit more customized. I want more information to be visible. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a widget for it. Now, this particular widget is going to be called search list user tile. This is just the name of the widget. You can name it whatever you want. I'm just going to name it like this. Now I'm creating a row because I'm going to have the profile picture, the name, and the email ID, like that. So I'm going to first say row. Inside the row, I'm going to have the image. Where is the image? I think I've copied that from here. No, I didn't copy it. So I'm just going to cut it from here and paste it there. Let me end it with a semicolon. So this is the image. We have an image. Okay, we are not going to use it like this. Let me just have it there. And I'm going to accept it like this. So I'll say profile URL. Okay, and what do we need more? We will need a string name, so I'll say name. What do we need? Anything else? We need email, so these are the different things. We also will need anything else, I guess. That will be it, right? So I'll remove this. Sorry, I need to provide it here. I'll remove this. What's the problem? No. Okay, I don't can problem. Okay, so let me do this quick. Let me copy the search list user tile and paste it here, dun, dun, like that. This is just the one value, so we need to provide three of, like, sorry, what am I doing? I'm going to copy that. Just give me a second. I know you guys may be thinking, what are you doing? Give it a second and explain. So what I did is I was just directly returning this image widget. Now I have created this separate widget called search list user tile, which is going to accept profile URL, name, and email. And now I am returning that. So right now I am providing these three values, and these are just the same. So first is actually the profile URL, so it is a profile URL, so it is perfectly right. The second one is name. So what is the key for the name? It is name. So I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to provide that key, name. Now the third one is email. So what is the key for the email? It is email. So I'm just going to provide that, email. So now I will have all these three values, and now I can show them. Now I'm using column because I want to show the name and email one above the other, like that kind of stuff. So I'll say, sorry, let me get rid of this column. I'll say column, and inside of that children. Okay, it's not seems to be very happy with me. First thing first, I'll show the name. The name will be above and the email will be below that, and then we will have the text. We will have the email in here, so I'll just say email and I'll save that. So if I'll go here, you can see it looks like this. So I want these both text to be aligned from straight start. So how can we do that? We can say cross axis alignment. What is cross axis alignment? For column, the main axis is the vertical one. So in the cross axis, I want it to start from start. So I'll say cross axis alignment dot start. So now you can see I want a little bit of space between the image and this, so I'll say sized box, and the space I want is horizontal, so I'll say width. Let's just go with 8. I think 8 will be good enough. Let's go with 16, maybe 12 is good enough, I guess. Anyhow, I want to provide my image a little bit of a border radius. To do that, you can use clip r rect and then just provide the border radius. So I'll just say border radius dot circular. Let's go with 30. So you can see it's perfect circle. I think a little bit of a bigger will not hurt a lot, so I'm just going to increase the size of the image like that. And I guess that's all. I mean, what do we need more? We want to implement a click on this, so that when the user will click on this particular tile, then the user can open up the chat room. So for that, I can just wrap my row inside a widget called gesture detector, and over there I'll have an on tap functionality. Inside the on tap functionality, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say navigator, navigator dot push. Now you see I'm not using push replacement because I want user to be able to open this chat and click on back and be able to come back to the home screen. So I'll say material page route, and this will take a builder will basically ask from where to where do you want to go. So context will say that I am here and I want to go to conversation chat screen, actually chat screen, and there we have it, we can go. But you know what, chat screen wants to know where what is the username of this user and what is the name of this user. Username will be required so that we can create a chat room ID with that user, and the name is required so that we can show that you are talking with this particular user. So I'm going to say final. Why am I saying final? Because the values which I'm going to accept, which is the chat with user name, this is not going to update, right? The username of the other user is not going to update. So to accept these values, we are going to use the constructor. We will say this dot chat this dot name, right? Simply like that. So I hope this is clear. Final, because these values are final, they are not going to change. This is how we accept the values via constructor. Now we have both these values. We also need to provide these from here. So let's go back. The first thing was the username. So where is the username? We are not accepting that. Interesting. So let me accept the username as well. Now, once you cross this kind of 3-4 values mark, I will always recommend to wrap it in this curly bracket. So now what will happen is you will be providing the values with the keys. So this is the profile URL. So you will mention it is a profile URL. Then this is an image. So you will mention it is an image. Then this is a name. So you will mention it is a name and then provide the value. If it is an email, then you will mention it is an email and then you will provide the value. If it is a username, you will mention it is a username and then provide the value. Because sometimes what happens is you provided one value before and one value after. That is again a problem for the debugging, because later on this is not a problem which your editor can understand. So hence you will not be able to debug this easily, which will cause a lot of time consumption. So username, and username basically is the key. So there we have it. So now we have the username here, so I can provide the username, and then the next thing will be name. So we have both of these values available now. So if I will click on this, we are in the chat screen, but chat screen just a scaffold. So I want to show a app bar in here. So I'll say app bar, and app bar will have a title. Title is nothing but a text, and text will have a string. What is the string which we want to provide to the text? Text will be name. But one thing which you should know about is you cannot directly use the variables which you accepted. In the stateful widget, you have to mention widget dot that particular variable name. So now you can see we have the name of the user which we are interacting with right above here. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to generate a chat room ID so that I can check if that chat room exists or not. If the chat room exists, which means I have already contacted this user, then I would like to get the chat of the last chat which we have, right? I want to see what we talked about, and then we can continue chatting. So first thing first, I'll just go in here and I'll say string chat room ID. The second thing is going to be the message ID. So I showed you an interesting feature initially, which was then that when we are sending a message, uh, we are actually making it more real time, right? So user don't have to wait for our whole message to complete. If you think of it like in voice, so for example, when I'm saying something you're hearing, you don't have to wait until I completed my whole sentences or a paragraph to start listening to it. You start listening it at a real time, right? That's a kind of a chat functionality which we added, that when you are writing your message, it will be instantly visible to your the person on the other hand, so he or she don't have to wait for your message for a long time, right? So for that, I'm going to have a message ID which is going to be same for all of these. So I'll show you how it will work, but this is the reason why I'm using this message ID. Okay. Other values, like for example, I will be using my name, my profile pic, my username, and my email a lot, right? So that's why I'm defining the variables for this. All these values will be got we will get these values from shared preferences. So let's just get this quick. So I'll say get my info from shared preference. That's fine. Okay, so now in here we know that shared preferences function will be asynchronous. So I'll be making my function asynchronous, and here I'll say my name is equals to. await shared preference helper dot like dot oh my god dot. We need to first import this. I think I misspelled something, but I think I haven't. Okay, so there we go. And inside of that I want to say get name, I guess. Username, no. Display name, correct. Okay, what do we want more? I'll add a semicolon just to remove this. What is the problem? No. Okay, now it's fine. Now I'll say my what do we need? Profile pic is equals to await, and then I'll say shared preference helper, and then I'll say dot get. What do I want to get? I want to get the profile URL. What's next? Well, next is username. So I'll say my username is equals to await shared. Oops, shared preference help. Oops. Okay. Dot get username. There we go. Then what is next? We want the email. So I will say email is equals to await shared preferences helpers, and then dot get user email. There we go. We have all the information available. Now, what do we want to do? Well, we want to create a chat room ID. There we go. Chat room ID is equals to. Well, I'm going to actually, create a function for generating a chat room ID, and here's how it works. Get chat room ID by user names. So I'm generating a chat room ID by the username of both of the user. So we are going to have a string A, string B. So A is the username of one user, B is the string username of another user. So how this will work is we will say if A dot substring 0 comma 1 dot code unit at 0 greater than B dot substring 0 comma 1 dot code unit at 0. So we are basically testing which string is greater and which is not, because what I want to do is if I'm providing two strings to this chat room ID, I want it to always generate the same chat room ID. So we will have two usernames. So let's say one username is I am Sanskar Tiwari and the other username is the Indian app guy. So what I will do for the chat room ID is I will have the username and then underscore and then the other ID. Now what I want to do is I want to make this function so that I can provide these values in any manner and it will always generate the same ID. Whether it will take this first or this first, it does not matter, right? So that's the whole point of this function. So now this will return dollar $b slash underscore dollar $a semicolon. Why did I use that kind of slash? Because, sorry, where is b? Yeah, so the reason for using that slash was because if you are defining a variable with this dollar sign, how do the compiler will know this variable is not continuing, right? So in that case I'm using slash so that the compiler can know, that this variable has ended here and this next part is actually just a string. Okay, so if this is not the case, then what will happen? We will return A first and B after that. Something like this. Okay, so to get the chat room ID by the username, what we will do is we will provide the username. So I'll say widget dot chat with username. So this is the other person username who you was searching for, and then my username, like that. There we go. Okay, so now we have the chat room ID. What do we want next? Well, now we will go ahead and create the init function so that in the init state we can do this on the launch. So when this particular screen builds for the first time, I would like to get my information, right? So these are the things which I want to do on the launch of this screen. So all of those will go inside this init state and I will create a separate function which will take care of this. So I'll say do this on launch. Okay, so what do I want to do on launch? Well, first of all, I would like to get my information. So I'll say get my information shared preferences. And second will be to get and set messages. So I'll create a function in here, get and set messages. So according to the chat room ID generated, we would like to get all the messages, if any, in that particular chat room, right? So for that, this is the function. So I'm going to call that function as well. Now, I would not like to call this function before I have gotten these values. So I will await for this. Again, why am I awaiting for these values? Well, because I'm getting them from the shared preferences, and when we get a value from shared preferences, it takes time. Okay, that makes sense. So if you're using await, you need to make your function what? Asynchronous. So that's, there we go. Now I will be calling this function here. There we go. And that's for that. Okay, so far we have generated the chat room ID. We have all of my information of, we can say, the logged in user information. We are generating the chat room ID. What is next? Well, let's go ahead and build the user interface of this screen. So let me just generate a body in this one. So the first thing which I want is, I want that message option, so I can, type out a message, and I can click on send and send that particular message. So let's create that. So it will start with a container. So I'll say container. Then we will have a child which is going to be stack. Now you will be like, Sanskar, what is a stack and why are we using it? Well, stack is something which we use to align two particular widget one above the other. Something like, if you have used Android, then we do this by using relative layout. If you have done anything with web development, we do this by, making the position absolute and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, stack is used to align two widgets one above the other, just like a sandwich or a burger. I know you may start to feel hungry. Don't leave the videos to get something to eat and continue. Okay, so what we need now is, basically why I'm like uh, positioning two widgets one above the other is, we will have our whole chat screen here, or like the list of messages, and above those we will have that message box. So the reason for having it above rather than just below is, if I will click on it, it will go above the list, and we will be able to write the message properly. So that's the whole point of it. Okay, so without any discussion any longer, I'm just going to go ahead and create that amazing chat message box. Yeah, we can call it a message box, right? Where we will be writing out the message. So it is going to start with a container. The container will have a child. Child is going to be a row. Again, why row? Because row helps us to align two widgets horizontally, and we will be having a text field and an icon to send the message, which are going to be aligned, you guessed it, horizontally. So I'll say text field, and then we want an icon. For icon, we are using a material icon, which is going to be the send. So that's why I can just say icons dot send. Now, whenever we use a text field inside of a row, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Tell me. We used a expanded widget. Okay, we have that, and you can see it's above there, but do we really want it that position? I don't think so. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to wrap my container with another container. So I'll say container is wrapped with another container. So I'll say container. There are other options as well for alignment, don't worry, but I want to keep it as simple as possible for you guys. So I'll say alignment dot bottom center. You can see it's aligned at the bottom now, correct? You can type it out, tuck, 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 and there we go, it works, right? Now I don't like this border bottom, because that's kind of the design which I'm going for. So I'm just going to get rid of the border. I will also provide a little bit of a hint, similar to what we did with our search box. So how can we do that? Well, you just have to go inside the text field, say decoration, we are decorating you. So then I'll say input decoration, and inside the input decoration we have both the options. The first is the border, which is will take input border dot none to get rid of that, kind of that underline thing. And then to provide it a hint text, we will say hint text, and we can say type a message. And there we go. You can see that we have this type a message option available. I don't know why it looks too odd to me. Is it to you? I don't know. Like, if it does look a little bit odd, you can always go ahead and provide hint style. Where is it? Hint style. So if you want to, I don't know, maybe increase the font size of font width, weight of it. So I'll say font weight, and I'll say 500. Sorry, we don't define it like that. We say font weight dot 500. I think now it looks good. Maybe 4 should be good enough. I think it was already 4. What about 450? I'm not sure if we can go for 450. Let's just go with 500. I think that looks good. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm not able to decide which one looks good. So I will leave it to you. Decide accordingly, and you can use. Now I would like to have a little bit of a space both the side. It looks really kind of compressed kind of. So I'm just going to go inside my container, and then let's provide it a padding. So I'll say edge insets dot I want a same horizontal padding, so I'll use symmetric. I'll say horizontal, and I'll provide around 16, and I want a little bit of a vertical, but of course same from both the ends. That will be around 8. So you can see now it has a vertical padding of 8 and a horizontal of 16, not 6. Yeah, now something like that. Now of course I want this to stand out from the background. It kind of looks um, not too different, right? So what I will do is I'll say colors dot black dot with opacity 0.88. So this is just my design. You can do whatever or however you would like to have. Let me just make my hint text color to a little bit of a white, because you know the black color is not going to look good. Font no color colors dot white dot with opacity 0.6. Now you may be like, why Sanskar did you provided this with opacity? Because usually what always hint text is kind of a little bit of a lighter text compared to the normal text. So if I go in my text field, I have this style option, so I can provide the styling to the main font as well, which is going to be colors dot white. So you can see, if I will, this is a hint text, right? So it will be a little bit lighter, but if you write something in that, it will be pure white. I also want my icon color to be white, so you can do that as well. Just say colors dot white, and there we go, it's done. Okay, so that is working. What do we want next? We want to show the list of all the messages now. So let's create that, right? Well, before showing, don't you think we need to have an option to add a message, right? So we will create a function for that first, and then we will move on to show all the messages. So I'll say add message, and I hope you know when this function will be called once we click on this, and also once you are writing something here. So I'll say add message, and there we go. Now, so there are two kind of add message functions which will be called. One, when you are just writing, so it will be kind of basically you are writing it out and it's instantly visible to the other user. And one instance, it will be when you click on the send button. So when you will click on the send button, then you will start writing next message rather than writing that itself, right? So that tracking is keep making sure by this boolean value, which is called send click. So if this add message is called by clicking on send, then we will have some things to do more to separate it to be a next message, compared to if it is not clicked by send, or but it's actually, you know, the user is just writing the message and we are calling this function add message. Okay, so what I will do is I will say if we need to make sure that user have something written over here. I don't want to call my add message function when there is no message, right? So again, we have to keep a track if anything is written in the text field. How do we keep a track of anything written in the text field? We create something called text editing controller. So this one will be called message text editing controller is equals to text editing controller. Whoa, what the hell? Okay, I always use two T's. I don't know why. Okay, I think I need to do like that. Yeah. Okay, so this is basically I define a text editing controller. Now I just need to go to my text field, say controller, and provide that. Now I can just use that in here if this controller dot text is not equals to blank, which means there is something written on the message option here. Then I will get that message. I'll say string message is equals to message text editing controller. What happened? Dot text. Okay, so I got the message in the string, this one, and I will clear it from there so that, you know, user is clear that, you know, something happened. Maybe we can clear it a little bit later, not right now, because I am calling this all the time, not just when I click on this. So I don't want to clear this. I want user to be able to write and it will be instantly visible to the other user. I hope every single line is making sense. Then we will say last message timestamp. So this is the time when the message is sent. The reason for keeping a track of the timestamp is because we will be sorting out this list of messages by time, right? So that's why. So now we have the timestamp when this message is being sent. I'll create a map with all the message information. So I'll say string is the data type of the key and dynamic is the data type of the values. So I'll say message info map. Again, I'll be uploading this all map inside a document which is going to be inside the collection called chats. Now, not directly here, actually we will have a collection called chat rooms, and that will have the ID which I mentioned, the ID generated by this there. So let's say for now, just let's say something like that. And it will have values. So for example, every single document have this user's value, which will contain the user's username. So for example, we created one which is for ourselves, right? So I mentioned one will be created for I am Sanskar Tiwari underscore the Indian app guy, right? So I will have both the username like this inside the users array. I will have I am Sanskar Tiwari and I will have the Indian app guy like that. So this is how we will create a chat room. We haven't gone through that process yet. So yeah, don't worry about it. We will create a function to create a chat room. But once the chat room is created, inside of that chat room, we will have a collection. So it will be similar to this. Just where there is users, it will be chat rooms, and there will be a chat room ID over here, and then we will create a collection inside of it, call it chats, and then that chats will have a document of messages, right? So don't worry, everything will make sense, just give it time. So yeah, we are here back. So what are the different information about a message we want to have? Well, the first thing is the message text. So the message text is being saved as a key of message. So this message is going to be this. Next, we want to save who is this sent by. Why am I saving who is this sent by? Because I want to align the messages accordingly. So if you open up your messenger or WhatsApp or any chat application, how they work is, if it is sent by myself, then the message will be visible on the right hand side. If the message is sent by the other user, then it will be visible on the left hand side. So that's the reason why I'm keeping a track that who sent this message to whom. My user name. So this is my username, the user who is sending the message. Now we want to also attach the timestamp. So the timestamp key is TS. So I'll provide the timestamp here. The last thing is the image URL. So if you would like to show the image URL of each message, like for example, some message application, I don't know which one, but I think yes, Messenger have this, that it shows the user profile picture with each message. So for that only I saved the image URL. So if you would like to do that, feel free to do so. I am going to more than appreciate that. Okay, and of course, like, you can create a pull request as well in the repo which I will share, so that other people can use it as well. Now let's generate a message ID. So if message ID is equals to blank, so initially message ID will be blank, right? So where is the message ID? Blank, right? So if it is equals to blank, which means we haven't wrote any message yet. What do I mean by that is not that we have any message, but we haven't wrote like half message like this yet, right? So that's why it's blank. So then what I will do is I'll say message ID. Now this is where we will be using that package which I told you about, generating random strings. So we will say message ID is equals to random alphanumeric, and there we will provide 12. So this is the length of the alphanumeric key which we are generating for our message ID, and then I will upload the data to our database. So I'll say database method. So let's go to the database methods and create a method for this. We will be creating a method to update last message sent. Now I guess you may be thinking that, Sanskar, we haven't created the chat room yet, why are you adding the message first? So I think let's complete this last message send first, because basically this last message update thing is going to be something which we will be updating in the chat room. um, okay, let me just give a second. So because once we will update that, then only we will continue. So update the last message, and once we have updated the last message send, then we can continue to add the message. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the message. To add the message, we are going to create the function here. So I'll say future, I'll say add message. This is a function I'm writing to add the message to the database. So I think I have given you a view about how it will be structured. So it will be something like this. So we are going to be Firebase instance, then collection. The collection name will be called chat rooms. So just above this users, we will have chat rooms. Then we will have a doc with a chat ID. You can call it chat room ID, string chat room ID. So this is the one which we are generating here, right? Here. Then we have the chat room ID. Inside of that, we will create a collection. I will call that chat. So I think I have mentioned that as well. Then I will have a doc. So I am actually generating the ID for a document myself, which is the message ID. This one. Okay, this one. The reason for me generating it by myself is because I want to update the message again and again. So until and unless you have finalized the message, which means you are writing it down, it's not kind of it's not send kind of, right? So at that particular moment of time, whenever you write something more, so for example you have written that much and you add m, then I'm updating that exact message. I'm not kind of adding one more. I hope that makes sense. So I'll say doc. So here I will provide the message ID dot set. So here I'll provide the message info. So I'll say map message info map, and then I can just provide that. So this is how we will call that add message function. So let's go back and call it, right? So I'll say dot add message. Now here we have to provide the chat room ID, which is provided, message ID is provided, and message info map is provided as well. So the naming convention worked pretty well, right? So now I'll go to then. What is then? Well, basically, what do we want to do after this is done? So this is our add message function. Let me go back to it. So once this is done, we are returning, right? So once this is, let me make sure this is asynchronous so that we can actually use that then function. Okay, so I'll go back in here, and then once this is done, I would like to kind of update some values in my chat room. So let me just give you an idea enough of the talk. So chat rooms, next auto ID. So what will happen is I'll generate a chat room with the individual user I'm trying to talk to, right? And every chat room will have these particular values. Last message. So you in WhatsApp or in Messenger, they all show the last message in the list, right? So we will be doing the same. Last message. We will have last message send timestamp so that we can order these chat rooms in the home screen, so that the recent chat, the one which with the recent chat, will be at the top. That's the reason why we are saving the timestamp as well. This is actually timestamp. I'm not mentioning the values for now. Then we are also going to keep a track of last message sent by. So in WhatsApp, actually it shows you that the last message was sent by whom. So we can show that as well. That's why I'm saving this, right? So here the username will be there for the user who have sent that. So let me just keep it so that when we create it, you will be having an idea. So what I want to do, once I have added the messages, I want to update all of these, because every time a single user sends a new message, the last message will be updated, last message sent by will be updated, and last message sent timestamp will be updated. So how can we do that? Well, I'll create a map for it, and we will upload that map to the this chat room ID right in here. So let's create that map. The map will have a data type of a string for the key and dynamic for the value. Now moving on, let me just make sure this is fine. Let me add a semicolon here. Okay, then we will name this to be last message info map is equals to, over here we will define the first key, which is last message, and this is going to be the message which we saved above. Okay, over here, this message. Then last message send timestamp is going to be the last message sent timestamp. So actually I was date time dot now, I was calling this at both these places, but it was creating a little bit of a difference between them, because this is going to take some time and then this function is going to be called. So that is the reason why I created a variable with the exact time, so that I can provide the same time to the message as well as to my chat room. So I'll say that. Next I'll say last message send by, and then I'll provide the my user name. Okay, so we have this values. Now we have the information. Now we can upload this to the database. Now before to upload the data to the database, we need to create a function for it, right? Oh my god, I haven't completed this. Yeah, just a semicolon was left. So I'll create a function to update last message sent. Okay, I'll say I need in this one chat room ID. Of course I need that. Why? Because I will be going inside chat room collection, then inside the chat room ID, and then adding these values. So I'll say I need the chat room ID, and I think if I will need anything else, I'll accept that. So I'll return Firebase Firestore. Now, first thing, just to be clear, why am I returning when I'm actually updating the value? I'm not reading the data from my database, I'm actually updating it. So the reason for the return is very simple, because once it is updated, I would like to kind of get to know about it. So the, if I want to do something about with it, it will be returning something all the time. So for example, when we update a value, it actually returns nothing. So it will be void, so you don't actually have to use it. But if you want to do something after it, you can do something like async and stuff like that. So now I'm going to say firestore.instance dot I'll say collection, and the collection is going to be chat rooms, I guess you know that, dot document dot doc, and the document is going to have this ID of chat room ID. And then I'm going to say not set, it's going to be update. Okay, so I'll provide, we have already created the map here. This is the map which I want to upload. So I'll accept it in this function as an argument and provide it here. And that is all what we need to update that. Okay, so now let's go back and call this function from right over here. How can we call a function? We can just say database methods dot the name of the function, right? What does this function need? Well, it needs the chat room ID. Okay, it also needs the last message info map, and then we can use the semicolon. So that is all. Now I mentioned that we are using the send click because we want to do something if it is actually send clicked, right? So if I say send clicked, send click, then what I want to do is I want to remove the text in the input, in the message input field, so then now user can write another text. So I will say message, where it is, just a second, there we go, message controller, why controller, I can say dot text is equals to blank. So now this will remove the text from the text field. What do we want to do next? We want to make the message ID blank, so that the message ID is now updated for the next message. So it's not updating the last message, it's actually creating a new one to get regenerated on next message sent. Then I can say message ID is equals to blank. Okay, okie dokie. So now we have a function which is going to take care of adding the message. But as I mentioned before, we are missing one thing, and that one thing is to create the chat room. If it does not exist, of course, when the user clicked on that, where it is, when user clicked on this particular search item, right? So in that case, if we want to create a chat room, of course we will be required to get this chat room ID generate chat room ID function in the home as well. So I'll just copy it, paste it here. And where do we want to do that? Well, where is our user list chat? Over here. So what I want to do is, before we go to that screen, I will generate a random, I will generate the chat room ID. So I'll say variable chat room ID is equals to get chat room ID by usernames. We have this username and we have my username. So let's say my username. Do we have that here? I don't think so. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to create all of this. Okay, so basically I'm just creating these fields, and I will be calling the same function get my info in from shared preferences, so that I can get my information from the shared preferences. I'm not going to use the chat room ID in here, so I'm going to get rid of that. Is there any problem? Why is it not restructuring? Oh, I think, yeah, there is an error, that's why. So I will be calling this when we have this init function, init state. So in the init state, I'll say get info from shared preference. So this function will take care of getting my information. Now once I will have my information, I'll say my username. Okay, so what I'm doing is, when someone is clicking on this listing, I'm generating a chat room ID. Now I have generated the chat room ID. The next step for me is going to be to check if that chat room exists or not, right? Just get that. Now here I'll say map, I'll say string, I'll say dynamic, and I'll say chat room info map. So just before a few minutes, I mentioned that, in the chat room, what we will have is a users array, which will have the username. So it will have my username and it will have the other username. This will help us to kind of segment later on. So to get the list of the people we have contacted, we will use this, right? Okay. So now I want to upload this users to create a chat room if it does not exist. And if it does exist already, we don't have to create it. So that is the function of that is the function which we need to create next in our database. So we will name this function, let's call it create chat room, and this function is going to accept chat room for sure, chat room ID, and we will figure out what it accepts later on. But the first thing which we will do is we will say final snapshot. Now this is a snapshot I'm generating to get if we have that chat room already or not. So I'm checking if we already have a chat room with this ID or not. So how can we check that? I'll say await Firebase Firestore. Where is my store? Dot instance, there we go, and dot collection, and then I'll say chat rooms. Okay, then I'll say doc, which is this chat room ID. So to use await, we need to make our function asynchronous. Then I'll say dot get. So I'm basically going inside the chat room. I'm going inside a document called chat room ID, and I'm getting the value inside of it. Now, if we have a chat room ID, it will give us some value. If we does not have, this snapshot will not exist. So let me check that. If snapshot dot exist, if it exists, it means that chat room, chat room already exists. So if chat room already exists, we don't want to do anything. I'm just going to return true. But if it does not exist, then let's go ahead and create a chat room. Make sense? Let me just say else, and then I'm going to say return Firebase Firestore, and we can add a comment as well. Chat room does not exist. Okay, so I'll say Firestore dot instance dot doc, dot collection first, to collection, and then which collection we want to go inside the chat rooms dot doc, and it will be chat room ID, which we are accepting here, dot set, and we need the chat room information, which is this chat room info which we want to upload. So I'll accept that in here. I'll say map, and I'll accept that value, and I'll upload this. I want you to pause it and make sure you are clear with this function. All we have done is we got the value with that chat room ID, and we tested if that chat room exists or not. If it exists, then we don't want to do anything. We just want to send the user to that next screen and he can continue chatting. But if that chat room does not exist, then we will create that. Okay, I'm coming back in here. Let's see how we can call that function. So I can say database methods dot create chat room, and I can provide the values, and that's done. I hope there's no questions regarding this. If you have any questions, feel free to comment them down below. I'll be more than happy to help you with that. Okay, so we have all this process done. We are creating a chat room. We are testing it if it exists and stuff like that. We are adding a message. Now all it is left is to fetch the list of all the messages inside this particular chat screen. So if I open up the chat screen, I would like to see all the messages. Or if we are over here, then I would like to see the list of chat rooms. So people I have already contacted with. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so as I said, we have two things to do. First, we have to fetch the list of all the messages. We also have to fetch all the people we have contacted with. Now, the messages part is going to take a little bit of more things to do. So yeah, let's move on with that. So the first thing is, I don't know why, but this click is not working. So this on tap which we implemented, it's not working for some reason. So I'm going to reload the application, And of course, since we have already implemented the persistence, we know that we will be in the home screen once this application restarts, right? So let me just first cancel, close that. What is happening? I have no idea. No idea, no idea, no idea. Let me just close this, run it with again. Okay. So just giving it a second or so to run. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, so I think I was doing. Wait a second, where did I edit Dart HTML? That is not good. That is not at all good. Um, oh my God, that was not something I wanted to do. Where have I done that? No. Okay, I added HTML for some reason. I don't know how it got added, but that was the problem. I know. So I'll just restart the application again and invalid file. Okay, all the problems are happens when I'm recording. I don't know. Let's give it a second. I think this is not an error. Yes, it is not. It is not an error. Okay. Okay, okay. Please run. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Okay, so you can see we are in the home screen. I can search for the user. So I want to search for I am Sanskar Tiwari, this user, and I can click on search, and there we go. Hello, there we are. If I click on this, we seem to be okay. So it says substring was called on null. Okay, 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 okay. So if I go to my home screen, it is saying substring was called on null. Where am I calling the substring actually? Okay, there. Okay, so I think first of all, where is this? So search user list tile. There we go. Now this is the on. I don't know where we are using the sub. Okay, we are using substring in here. So I think we are not able to provide either my username or the username which we have from that. So we are actually accepting the username. We know that, but I'm not sure about my username. So let me go back to the init state and see if I'm calling this. So I'm calling this get my info from shared preferences, and then I'm getting my name from there. So if I go back in here, I'm getting my username. Am I getting my username? I am getting my username. So that should have worked. I'm not sure why it is not, kind of, because the init state should be called, right? This init state. It's calling this function. Okay, I think I'm getting the point. I am getting the point. Maybe I am not sure. Okay, let me just restart this application. I don't know why it's causing this error, but if I search for the Indian, sorry, I need to search for the other user. The Indian actually is one, my Sanskar Tiwari. Search for this, click on that. It's not happy. What is problem? Let me just go ahead and see that again. Okay, so it's not receiving any value here. Okay, for A itself, so as I said, my username is something which it is not able to get, and I don't know. I think I need to set state. I don't know. Set state is not something I think I need to do. Um, but let's try that out. Okay, then I'll say I am Sanskar Tiwari. I'll click on search, click on my name. Okay, again the same problem. It is saying that substring was called on null. So again and again, this is just saying that we don't have your my username. So to test it out, I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to say print. This is the values we have. Haha. And now I can print out these values. This is just a basic kind of log I'm doing so that I can see what I actually have. So I'm just going to restart the application, and I'll say I am Sanskar Tiwari. Yes, because I am. And if I click on that, you can see haha. No, we cannot even see that haha. Okay, it says tab recognizer, send tab down, button 1. It does not seems to be clicking it, right? Let me see if it even called this or not. No, it is not. Okay, I think I got the point. Somewhere we are already calling this, so we are calling this only here. Okay, this is not making sense. Okay, so here it is. This is the values we have, haha. So you can see my username is null initially, right? Which actually is not making sense to me because I am actually providing the value via get username. So with get username, we are getting the username key, and I need to make sure I'm saving the username. So username key, username. So I am, let me check if I'm saving the username or not. So I'll go into oath.dart and I'll say username. And guess what? Am I awesome or not? Yes, you are awesome, but you're dumb. So I need to go here and say username. I need to like basically I was not saving the username, and username is very simple thing. We need to just say replace all @gmail.com with a blank, something like that. Okay, not replace. So I was not actually saving my username, hence it was not accessible. So I will log out, sign in again, and all of this will work. Okay, okie dokie, okie dokie. I think I should implement a loading, while the loading is happening. Subscribe to search. Click on this. Ta-da, we are here. So what is next? What is next? What is next? What is next? So you can see the values. Now we have both the values. Now I think we don't need that kind of a log. Okay, clear it out. Okay, so now over here, I would like to fetch all the messages which are added to the database, but let's first add a message. So if I will take it here, we have this chat room created. You can see we have the chat room created. Now I can delete the one which we created before. So I'm going to add a message. So you can see I'm just typing message, but I'm not actually calling this function. So you know what? I need to call this. So I'll go to the chat screen, and what I need to do is I need to call this add message function whenever there is a change in my text field. So whenever you write something in the text field, there is a function called on changed, which is called, and it returns the value which is returned, basically what is the value in the text field. So I'm not too much interested in that. I just want to call this add message function whenever this is called. Now the reason for mentioning this to be false is because this is not send button clicked. Okay, you can see send clicked. It's not a send clicked. And another time which I want to do this is I want to do is when someone click on this send icon, I will add a gesture detector to it. Gesture detector, so that I can keep a track of that on tap functionality. And there I'll say add message, and over here I'll say true because this is the send clicked. Clear? So if I go back in here, I clear this out. Now, since it is changing, I am expecting to be adding the last message updated. You can see it is updated quite many times. And if I'll reload, I am expecting to see that chats collection to be visible. Not sure why it is not added. Okay, it is added. You can see we have chats and this is the message we have. So you can see when I'm writing something in this message, new message is not added. It is updating just this one, right? And if I'll click on send, and I write one more message, you can see then new message is created. So that was the whole idea of message ID and everything. Now I have two messages. Let me add two more. Okay, and now let's fetch these four messages. To fetch these messages, I'm going to go inside the chat screen. I'll close all the others. And what I need to do is whenever I'm opening up this particular screen of chat screen, I'll be fetching them. So as I said before, I have created this get and set function for exactly that reason. So we will be generating a stream of messages to make it real time, because the whole idea with messages is that you don't want to refresh or go back and open this screen again and again to see the latest messages. You want to be on this screen and see the real time updates, changes instantly, right? So to do that, what we will be required to do is to generate a stream of messages. So I'll go ahead here and I'll say stream, and I'll say stream message stream. There we go. Okay, I will grab that stream of messages. I'll say message stream is equals to We need to create a function inside database methods, and that function is going to be called get chatroom messages. So I'll just go in over here and I'll create a function called get chatroom messages okay, chat room id, and I'll say synchronous, and then over here we will say return, oops, caps lock is on, no it's not, so I'll say Firebase Firestore dot instance, and then I'll say dot collection, and that collection is going to be chat rooms, and then I'll say dot document, and this document is going to be what, chat room id. Then we will say dot collection, and then I'll say chats dot snapshot. So this is how we get the data. How do we get the data? First we provide where do we want to get the data from. So I said I want to go inside the Firestore, so this is what the two words means. Then I said I want to go inside the collection called chat rooms, which is this one. Then I said I want to go inside the document with this chat room id, then I get into this one. Then I said I want to go inside the collection chats, so then I go inside this one, and then calling this a snapshot will provide me all the documents. Now I don't want these messages directly, I want to order them by the timestamp, and order them actually descend, okay, ding 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 ding, I don't know what I'm doing, CENDING, okay, ascending, so that will be true, and that's all. So the reason for ascending is because I want the last message to be at the top. Now you will be like, Sanskar, what you said at the top? No, that's the last message will be at the bottom. But what I'm going to do is I will make the last message at the top and I will reverse this list. So basically what happens is, you know what let's keep let's I will show you with and without it, so that you get the point of what I'm trying to do. That much I'm working hard to explain you everything. If you haven't clicked the like button yet, I mean seriously, that is the least you can do, please. Okay, so what can we do next? We can call this function, right? So first let me define what is the return type of this function, which is future. So I'll say future, then I'll say stream, and then I'll say query snapshot, and then I'll make it like that. Okay, so we are going to return a query snapshot of stream, so which is actually a stream. So now I can go in here, and this message stream can say dot get chat room messages, and we will be providing the chat room ID, and then I'll say done. Now this is going to take some time, so we need to make that to be await and save that. We are already calling it, so we don't have to worry about that. So we have the messages in our stream now. What is the next thing we would like to do? We would like to show them in the list. So we will create a widget. We will say messages. Similar to how we done before, we will create a messages list, okay, which will have basically the image on the message and who it is sent by. So I will call that, let's say, chat messages, and then inside of it I'll return a stream builder. What is a stream builder? Well, whenever you have a data from the stream, you will be using a stream builder. Isn't it too simple to understand? If you don't understand what a stream is basically kind of a flow of a data. So how this stream helps is, if there is any change in the data in our database, it will be instantly notified to our local, so that we can update that. Snapshot. So this snapshot is nothing but the data which we got from this stream. Now we will be using this snapshot to create a list view. So I'll say list view dot builder. Now one thing is which is very clear about list view dot builder is it needs two most important things. First is the item count, second is the item builder. So item count is going to be got from the snapshot.data.docs. Yeah, we just saw that. Yes, remember it was causing an error before. So in the list view builder, we will have a context and we will have an index. Then we will return a simple text for now. Okay, so as we did before, I'm going to create a document snapshot, which is going to be ds is equals to snapshot.doc data dot doc 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 docs doc docs index and end it with a semicolon. Then I'll use this ds and then I'll provide the key. So what is the key for our message? I just want to show the message, which is this message, message. So make sure this is exactly spelled at there and just add all these semicolons. Dun, 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 and now we will be using this widget to show inside our body. So inside our scaffold body, not our body. So there we go. We have a problem because we haven't got this. We just added this, so we don't actually have a stream of data now, so this is null for now. So I will check that if snapshot.has data, then only show this list view builder. Otherwise just show a circular progress indicator, and I'll wrap that circular progress indicator into a widget which is a center widget, so that circular progress indicator is in the center. Now what do we want? Let's just reload this. Why am I reloading? Because I will open this screen again. So I'll say I am Sanskar Tiwari, search for that user, open the chat, and I am expecting to see these messages. It should not take that long time. I'm doing that right? I'm using the docs, I'm using the ds. Okay, I'm not setting the state. Set state, man. Set state and save. Exactly. So we need to set the state. So there we go. You can see the messages, but you will be like, Sanskar, this is like the ugliest message I have seen. But don't worry. We will make this look quite similar to Messenger. Something like this, like a blue and a gray kind of shade. Okay, so how can we do that? Well, I will make my phone here first, a little bit to the side, and let's go for a little bit of a makeup for for our chat messages, right? So how I am going to create that is I'm going to create a widget called chat message tile, and this is basically a single message, right? It's a single message widget, so it will return a row. You know what, just return a container, we don't need too much things. And that container will have a child of text, and that text is nothing but the message. So I'll say here string message. Okay, so one thing which happens in Messenger is the messages does not start from the top, but they start from the bottom. The reason for that is very simple. When you write a new message, let me fill this up. Okay, let me just fill this up a little bit so that you can exactly see what I'm trying to explain to you. To fill this up, let's just give it all the different styling which we want to do. So the first thing is I want to give it a little bit of padding. Padding means like it should look a little bit full. It's looking too much like very thin kind of, I don't know. Dot. Should we go for symmetric? I'm just going to give it 16 from all the sides. Okay, it's not going to work because we are just returning text here. I'm going to return that, and then it should work. You can see. Oh my god, I think it's too much, right? What do you think? Okay, so we need to provide it a color as well. So I'm just going to say padding is fine, but we need a color. So what kind of color we want? So I'll say colors dot blue for now, comma, save. Okay, so that's too much. We need a little bit of a margin. So I'll say margin. Margin will be, a bit of a different. So margin will be edge insets, and we will say symmetric. Horizontally, I want a margin of around, how much should we go? Around 16 would be fine. And vertical, we don't want too much, so I'll just say 4. I just want a little bit of a separation. So vertical. Okay, see, okay, I need a comma. Okay, so now you can see we have a little bit of separation. Now, of course, if the text is blue, I would like to have the color of my text to be white. Now you will be like, Sanskar, don't make it fixed. We want this to be, changeable. So for example, for my messages, it should look blue, and for the other person messages, it should be looking like a little bit like a black and a gray combination. So don't worry, we are going to do exactly that. Now, before we do, I want to add a little bit of a padding to my list view at the top. So that's what I'm going to do in here. I'll say padding. Oh, you know what? Yeah, padding is fine. Edge insets dot. I know I need a little bit of a space, like the height of this message box. I don't want my message to go below that. So I'll say I want a symmetric. let's say only, because I want an exact to be from bottom. Let's say that to be around 80. Okay, I guess that's more than what's required. 70 is fine. Yeah. And I want from top around 16. So you can see from top. Okay, so now here's the problem, guys. If I enter a message, you can see that message is below this particular one, right? If I will send that, you can see it's below. And if I write one more, it adds to below that. Like it goes more and more below that. So that's not what I want. I want whenever I'm writing a new message, it should be instantly visible just above my message box. So for that exact reason, what I will do, I will reverse this, make it true. Okay. And then I'll go into my database and I'll make this descending. Now, of course, this may, okay, I don't think so. So if I go back, I say I am Sanskar Tiwari, and I open the chat. You can see now it's starting from the bottom. And if I write a new message, it start over here rather than starting from below this, right? A much better user experience. Okay, Sanskar, that is fine, but I don't like how this looks like. I want this to look like a little bit like Messenger. Correct those? So we want to give it a border radius. So let's see how we can do that. So I'm going to go to my chat message style. I'll remove the color. Why am I doing that? Because I'm using decoration. Why am I using decoration? Because I want to provide the border radius. Okay, so if you want to provide border radius, can we use decoration, right? Yes, we use decoration to provide the border radius. So I'll say circular. I would like to have it around 24. And whenever you are using decoration, make sure to provide the color inside, not outside. Okay, now you will be like, Sanskar, this is not how we wanted this to look like. And I will be like, okay, how do you want this to look like? First of all, it should be like message should not be equal size. So that can be fixed by wrapping it in a row. Okay, that is fixed. Now what do we want? Well, we want that we should have a shape like a not a not you know, as you see in Messenger, we don't have a whole circular from all the corners. We have one corner left, right? So that's what we are going to structure our code with, right? So how we can do that is we are just going to go here in the border radius, and I'm going to just say border radius dot only, and in that I'll add top left. Okay, in top left I'll say radius dot circular, and I'll mention that to be 24. Okay, then I'll say bottom right. So I'm just providing radius at each individual corner, and we will handle where when to show according to who sent the message. So I'll accept that value as well, that boolean sent by me. So I'm accepting that is it sent by me or not, if the message is sent by me or not. So I will say my username, okay, is equals to the username which is updated for the message. So I will go over here, paste it there, and I will, where is our database? We will go into our database in here, and we know that the key for the username is send by. So I will mention that here. I'll say send, I'll say by. Okay, so I hope this is clear why I'm saying my username is equals to send by, because if it is equals to, then it is sent by me, which will give this boolean value to be true. But if it is not equals to, then it will give this to be false, which means it's not sent by me. So now let's go back to the message style and structure it how we want it to be. So let me just add a comma in here, and sorry, I think semicolon, no. Yeah, we need to add this border radius. So let me add that here. Then I will add that for the top right. So I will copy this and paste it here. Then I will also add that for the bottom left, and I'll add this and paste it here. And then what I will do is, now I want to make them specific, not like right now I have given that radius from the all the sides, but what I want is I want them to be very specific, that for example, I don't want these messages to be this like aligned from the left side. I want my messages which are sent by me to be aligned on the right side. So how can I do that? I can say main axis alignment, and then I can say send by me question mark. So if they are sent by me, then I'll say main axis alignment to be end. If they are not sent by me, maybe sent by will send by the other user, then I'll say align to be the start. Okay, so now you can see they are in this side. This because these are the all the messages which are sent by me. Okay, so let's move on, and now I want to give that corner look at this particular position, which is the bottom right. So this is the bottom right. So in the bottom right, what I'll do, I'll say send by me. If it is sent by me, then I want this circular to be zero radius. But if it is sent by the other user, then I want that to have around a 24 radius. Similarly, for the person who is in this side, we will be using what it is called like the bottom left hand side. So this one I'll say send by me. So if it is sent by me, I want the whole radius, but if it is not sent by me, then I'll just use the 0 as a radius. Clear? So that's how we will structure that. Let me just have a look. Looks good to me. Okay, so we are fetching this and it's working perfectly fine. I can send one more message and there we go. We can send emojis as well. And there we go. Cool. So now we have all this working. I'll go back. And now what I want to do is I want to show the list of all the chat rooms we have available. So how can we do that? We will just go to the home screen. Where is our home screen? There is our home, and inside home we would like to show the list of users. So how can we do that? Well, we will create something called users list. Something called means like this is the name which I'm going to provide to the widgets, right? So I'll say users list, and you know what, let's call it chat rooms list. Chat rooms list. Now this is going to be nothing but the stream of what could we call it, chat rooms. So we will be basically going inside this collection called chat rooms, and we will get all the documents which contains this particular key, and we will check if this particular array contains my username, which is like the username of the user who is using the application. So how can we do that? Well, it's going to be very simple. We just need to first create the function in the database to get the chat rooms, right? So to get the chat room, we will create a function. Let me just, okay. So I'll go into the database, and we want to create a function to get the chat room. So I'll say if you get chat rooms, and then I'll say asynchronous process, and then I'll say string. So I need my name. Okay, so I'm not going to accept it through the arguments. I'm just going to get it directly here. How can I get it? I can get it from the shared preferences helper. So I can say helper dot get user name. So I can say get username, and then I can say return Firebase Firestore dot instance dot collection, and then I'll say chat rooms dot order by, and then I'll say last message send timestamp. Okay, now here I'll say descending to be true, similar to why I did so just a second, descending, yeah. So the reason for making it descending to be true is because I want the recent message at the top. So for example, if a friend of mine send me a message, so it is the so the last timestamp will update, right? I have told you how this works. Last time message sent timestamp will update. So according to that, I want that if it is if it is more, right, which will be for the recent message, I want that to be that message is at the top. So one more thing which is very important, which I want is I want users array array contains my user name. Okay, so I want this users array to contain my user's name, then only I will show that chat room. Makes sense? Once that query is fulfilled, we want to get the snapshots. Clear? The reason for me getting the snapshots is because it will be updating screen. So for example, if some new user sends me a message, I don't have to refresh this screen to see that message pop up. It will be instantly reflected once it is added to the database. Okay, so we are in the home now. We are in this chat room list. What am I doing anything wrong? What's wrong with this? The name chat room exists. Okay, so chat room list already exists. Where is that again? Where is that? Okay, here we go. So in this one we will be returning a stream builder. That stream builder will have a stream. I think I haven't specified this. Yes, yeah. So we will be having another stream which is going to be specific for the chat rooms stream. Okay, then I'll use that stream over here, and we will have a builder will have a context, and we'll have a snapshot. What is a snapshot? A snapshot is the data which is being returned by that stream. With this stream we are going to generate a list view dot builder. List view builder will take two very important things. The first is the item count. How can we get the item count? We can get the item count by using the snapshot. Then we can say docs, and then we can say dot length, right? Then we can say item builder. For the builder we will just have to say context, and then we will say index, and then we will say return, then we will say text, and then over here we can specify stuff. So I'm just going to go inside this one and return some value. So I'll create a document snapshot as I do always. I'll say this whole and add this particular index. So I want to get the document at this particular index, and via that document I want to get some value. So let's say I just want to, I don't know, I want to show the name or the username of the other person. So how can I show that? Well, I can just say ds.id. This will give me this document ID. I can replace all my name. So I can replace my name or my username, actually what is happening? My username, and I can, where is my username? My username. Okay, so I can replace my username with blank, and then once I have done that, I'll say replace all underscore with blank. So I hope this is making sense. What I'm trying to do is I have this thing, right? Let me just show you it here. So I am removing my username, which is this one, and then I'm removing this. So okay, let me make this blank. So that is how we are getting the name. So I want to show the chat room list right over here. Yeah, so it's visible. So you can see it is saying that get docs was called on null. So of course it is called on null. So let me go to that. So initially we don't have this value because it has not run for the one time. So I'll say has data question mark. If it has data, then only show the list view, or else just show the loading. So I'll say circular progress indicator, and I will wrap that in a center widget so that it's in the center. So you can see it's in the center. Now you may be thinking why it is not taking the whole space, because it does not have that space. That's why it's not in the center exactly, but I think it's fine to be like that. Now it's starting, and now okay, I think I'm not calling that, or am I? So I'm saying this get info dot share preferences. Okay. So let me just search for this one. Where is it called? We are not getting the value in this one, right? So where are we getting the value for the other one? We are getting the value for this users stream here. So I'll get this value on this as well. Okay, we don't want to do this on search. So okay, where should we do? We want to do this when we open this screen for the first time. So I'll say get chat rooms function arguments is equals to database methods dot get chat rooms, and that's it. Actually asynchronous. I need to make this future function because this is going to take some time, yada. So this is going to be get chat rooms, and it is returning a stream query snapshot. So I'll say stream query snapshot. It is going to be future of that, so I'll say future future like that, and I'll save that. And if I go here, you see I need to use that await. I will be calling this get chat rooms here, and yeah, I think get chat rooms should work. I don't want this get chat rooms to be called before this function is completed, because if this function is not completed calling, we don't have my username. If we don't have my username, we cannot get the chat rooms. So I'll say on screen loaded, something like that. It's just a function name, guys, but yeah. So this is what is going to do, and inside of that I can actually say async, and I can await for this function to be done, then only I will continue with this one. So now if I will reload, I am expecting to see something here. Can I expect that? I think so. We have chat rooms, we have last message sent by timestamp, we have the users, we have my username, we are doing a lot of stuff, but not okay. So I think I need to set state, doing the same problem, I guess. Set state. So once we have the values, we want to set state. I think that's not working. What are we doing wrong? So we have this chat room list. Okay, I mentioned you guys before, string cap is important if you are using, so that is something which we should make sure. But again, at the same time, it's not showing me this text. Hello. I don't think this is the problem, so let me fix that back. So the problem is if it has data, then it will show this list view. If it is showing this circular progress indicator, it means it does not have data, and that can happen um, if we are not able to call this chat room streams, I guess. Where is the chat room streams? Yes, if we are not able to call this chat room, but I'm calling this in this function which is being called for the first time itself, things are not making sense, right? I don't know why, but okay. Okay, it's working. This is not what I like, but I guess it just required to be reloaded. But now you can see the username. Okay, so now the customization part here is here. So we want to get the information of the other user, specifically their name, their profile picture, because we don't have that in this one, right? So we want to get that information. What happened to this? Oh my God. Is it taking too much time? I think it's maybe my internet or something, but I hope it is clear that it is working. It's just taking too much time for some unknown reason, which I will figure it out and let you know in the blog post. That is something which I can update quite easily rather than, updating the video. So where was we? Okay, so I was saying about updating the tile, right? So we don't have a tile right now. So I'll just go in here. I'll say widget chat. So I'll say chat room list tile, and this is going to be return. This is going to be a row. You may be thinking why is we are using row, because we will have an image, and at the side of it there will be a username below which we will have a last message. So image will have dot network. So we need the profile picture URL. So I'll say profile pic URL, and I'll paste it here. What do we need next? We need the column children's. We need the text to be name of that user, so I'll say name, which is going to be string name. And then we don't have these values, guys, right now. That's why I'm just keeping it blank for now. I'll add that once we have the values. I also need the last message. So we have the last message, that's fine. Last message, I'll copy that, paste it here, save this. Now, so the thing which is left is we want to get the user info by his or her username. So let's go to the database and create a function quick for that. So how can we get the user information? We can go inside the users and we can make a query that where username is equals to the username which we are searching for, we will get that particular document, and then we will have the access to the image URL by which we can show the profile picture. We will have the name which we can show, and we will also have an email if you like to show that. Okay, so I'll create this function, name this function called user get user info, and I'll accept a username in here. How this will work is we will go inside the Firebase Firestore. We will go inside the collection called users. Then we will say where user name, which is a key by the way, username is equal to username dot get, like that, and then I can return this. And of course I'll wait for it to be done so that I'm not returning it instantly, but this is the thing. So this is the function get user info function. We will be calling this function to get the user information. Okay, so yeah, so I'll go in here and I'll be calling this function. Okay, so now the question arises, when should we call this? Because the thing is, like, we need to call this for each and every um, what should we call it? Individual tile, right? So you know what? We are going to cut this out. We will create a stateful widget for this. Okay. Let me go to the bottom, stateful, and I will call that chat room list tile. Now, how many of you got that? Why we created this stateful widget? The reason for that is because we want to do something, or think of it like running a function for each individual tile separately. So that's the reason. Now we will be accepting all these values via a constructor. So I'll say this dot that, this dot that, this dot that, this dot that. Okay, not string. What is that? This dot. Okay, string series. No, we will need the name. We will need that. Not string. We are good. Okay, so we will be accepting the values like this. These values are not going to change. We are not going to change these values. Are we? Well, I think we are going to change the profile picture URL because we are not accepting that. We are not going to accept the last this one as well. We will be accepting the username though. So I'll say username. I mean, like if you are fine with just showing the username, we are done. Okay, so we don't have to do a lot. Profile picture and name. Okay, so this is something which I'll define in here because this is these are the values which we are going to update. Profile picture and name. So we will create a function get this user info. Okay, so we are going to get the information of this user by whom we have a chat room with. So I will say username, which is basically the username is equals to, let's accept the chat room ID. Yeah, that will be fine. So I'll say username is equals to widget, okay, equal to, what happened? My button is not working. I think it is. So I'll say replace all, and I'll be replacing widget dot my username. Okay, I need to accept my username as well, then my username, and then I have to specify that here as well. My username, we will be replacing my username. I think I have already cleared this, that I can replace my username and underscore from the chat room ID, and we will be left with the username of the other user. Make sense? I hope so. So this will be blank, then I'll say dot replace all, and this time we will remove the underscore with blank, nothing, and this will give us the username of the other user. So let's not call it username, let's just call it username. Yeah, okay, so we have the username of the other user. Now we want to get a query snapshot. What am I getting? Get. Yeah, so basically this get is actually returning a query snapshot. Got it? So I can say feature query snapshot. Okay, so this is what this function is going to return. So I'm going to create a query snap short. Am I spelling it correct? Query snapshot. Yeah, query snapshot, and I'll create that query snapshot is equals to await, and we are going to run that function. So I'll say database methods dot get user info, and then I'll provide the username. Once we have the username, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to print something. So this is basically the data which we are getting. So I want to make sure that we are getting that data. So I'll say query snapshot and dot docs, then I'll say 0 dot id, like that, and something like that. So we will have that. So I'll say name is equals to query snapshot dot docs dot, okay, docs, then 0. Now you may be like, Sanskar, why you are using 0? Well, let me clear this up. We are making a query. Whenever you do this where or order by, things like that, you are making a query which will kind of return a list of documents. Now it's us that we know, we know that we are only going to get one document with this condition, right? So that's what I'm doing. I'm getting the first document which is at the 0th position, and with that I want to get the, so this much is saying that this is the document snapshot. With mentioning the key, I can get the value of that particular document. Is it making sense? I hope it is. So query snapshot collection of documents. When I say documents at zeroth position, this give me the document at zeroth position, which is the document of the user for whom we searched for by the username. I'm using await, so let me make this async. Yeah, so I hope this is now making sense. So this is the document snapshot. So document snapshot is document. Inside document is a map. So document have a key value pairs. To get a value of a doc and or get a value of individual value of a document, we can just pass the key and we will get the value. So we need name, we need the profile picture URL. So I'll say profile picture URL. And what is it called? It's called img URL. So I'll say img URL. And there we go. We have both of these values available. So I can show that. I'm going to just say set state so that we can update the state, or basically the user interface, according to the latest information available. Now I can show this name. I can show the last message. I think we need to make sure this is widget. Correct those. Okay. So image will have a little bit of a styling. Height of 30 maybe, and width of 30. So if you will go in here, I'll reload this screen for you. I think I have to use this chat room now. I'm using that last one. Where is that? Okay, where is it? Okay, I'm not using it. Okay. Okay, I'm just directly showing the name right now, which does not seems to be working. I don't know why. Yeah, it is working. It was showing that. So now I will return this chat list tile, which needs quite a lot of values. The first thing is it needs the last message. So I'll say ds, and I'll provide the last message, and the last message for this chat room can be we can get that by using the last message key. Is it any tough? I don't think so. What is the second thing? Second thing is the chat room ID. I think I can directly say the chat room ID. No, for chat room ID, we can just say ds.id. Is it tough? I don't think so. Then we have my username. So my username is my username. So I don't think we need to do any struggle for that. Okie dokie. So I have this now. Let me restart this. I don't know what I am doing, but basically it is visible for some time and then kind of removes itself. I don't know why that is happening. I need to figure that out. But in the meantime, okay, you know what? Close this. Run this again. So what is left, if you will ask me? A little bit of a makeup of this chat room list tile. And you know what? Other than that, all of the things are done. So yeah, if you want any other more features, do let me know in the comment. I'll try to add them in the next upcoming builds which we will do. And if you haven't already, visit my channel. I have done a lot of different builds with Flutter, being it a wallpaper app, news app, chat application. Well, chat we have already built and we have a to do web application. We have more and more. So just visit on my channel by clicking on it and you will be able to find a lot of content, and I hope it adds value too. So what is happening? It is loading, which is not something I really like, right? Um, it is taking quite a lot of time. So let's just give it a second, and I can just click on save, which might initiate the set state. Let me go back. I don't know why it is not. So I am actually, after getting the chat room stream, I am actually setting the state, but for some reason it's not very justifiable. So let me just click on it once again. This is the chat room. It is returning that. It is waiting for that. Okay. Looks like, okay, I think I know what's the problem is, guys. I know what the problem is. We need to create a, sorry. So basically we need to create an index for this, guys. The thing is, this is a bit kind of composite query. Okay, so we have a very simple query and we have a composite query. So whenever you have a use case where you have a kind of a composite query, what do I mean by composite query? Well, we are using this order by with this array contains condition. So you can see it is written that the query requires an index. So we have to create an index for that particular query. So I'll open that query again. Let me just make sure I create this. So yeah, so we need to basically create, just wait for a few minutes. This will be checked. Once this is checked, then you can run that particular query. So let's just give it a few seconds and I'll be right back. Okay, so as you can see, it's finally done. And what we can do is I just reloaded the application and it is showing this error. So the error is that we are using the network image and the URL is actually equals to null initially. So what we have to make sure that we are not showing the widget until and unless we have the values, right? So for that exact reason, what I'll do is I'll pick this profile URL and I'll go in here, I'll say question mark. And if this profile URL is not equals to blank, then only show this particular row. Otherwise, we will just show a container. So if I'll do that and I'll save that, and yeah, if I'll save that and I'll reload this again, we should not be able to see this row until and unless we have that image. Now it is still showing that exact same error. It is saying that network image.io. Okay, so let me make sure network image. Okay, URL is not equals to null is not true. So which means this is null for some reason. So I am going to do this. I'm going to define this to be initially to be blank like that, like that, like that, like that. Okay, so if I'll save that now and reload this, I don't know if it's going to work. Yeah, I think now it's because this, so it's not showing anything. So for some reason this is not getting the profile URL. I don't know why. So we are using this query snapshot, we are providing the value. I think it's not able to understand this is a string. So let me just do this. Okay, I'll say dollar sign done done. Okay, so something like this. I'm providing the value of profile URL like this. So if I will wrap this inside a quotation, this will specify this to be a string, and if I'll save that, that should work. So we have a snapshot and we are getting the docs, and from that we are providing the value. So we are getting the name, and we are getting the name and the profile picture URL. So for some reason, I'm not sure about what. So let me do one thing, guys. For the debugging process, let's check if we are getting this something blah blah blah. So basically, just I'm just doing this so that we have a bit of a separation from normal kind of debug consoles. So yeah, it helps. So I don't see this blah blah, which means we are for some reason failed to load provide install module. No, it's not working. I'm going to not make this condition because I want to see the error if it is happening rather than being afraid of it, face your problems. um, so I think my internet is a bit slow. I don't know what happened. So I can see the last message, which is interesting. Maybe the profile picture is actually just loading. That's why taking time. But just to be double sure, let me see if we have that blah, blah, blah. It says no specified URI found. Invalid arguments for the image codec. Okay, so I think the profile URL is not something which we got, neither we got the name. So this specifies that there is some kind of an error which is happening here. So I am actually providing the get, let me call this get user info. So there, sorry, we are calling this get user info. We are providing the username of that particular user. So which is nothing but the widget room ID replaces with my, okay. Now okay, I think this is right, but what do you think? What are we doing wrong? We are actually printing that. So you know what? Let's just print this as well. Dun, 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 dun. So I can know, like, if we are getting values or if we are not getting the value, what are we getting? So I'll clear this up. You can see clearly we have the last message. We just don't have the profile picture and the name of that user. So if I see my something, I don't know if I can see that. Okay, let me just reload this. For some reason, I don't think this something is being printed even. Yep, I don't think this is getting printed. So it says exception caught by image service. So you know what? We are not going to show the image if we don't have that. So just hide that image. That is kind of causing the issue to show the print, I guess. I don't know. I'm going to rerun this, syncing the application. Okie dokie. Okay. I want this to be loaded like this, something one. Failed to load, provide and install module, no acceptable module found, local version is 0, remote version is 0, considering the local module provider is 0, remote installable 0, local module class provider installer. Okay, now it's getting into my head. What is happening? Well, the biggest thing is I am, I don't want to call it, but I do super dumb stuff. Things like, not calling the function. So let me call that function now. And let me just make this something like that. So we have the name and we have the profile picture. Okay, if you haven't liked till now, just do something, guys. Okay, so now let's just give it a little bit of makeup. So sized box, and we will give it a width because we want a horizontal space. So this way we have a horizontal space. I want this image to have a circular border, so I'll wrap it with a clip r rat, and I'll provide that a border radius of border radius dot circular, and that will be around 30 maybe, because I want it to be exact circular. I think it should be bigger, so I'm going to go with 40, and you can see it looks much better. Now I want the text, which is the name of the user, should be a little bit of a size more. So I'll say font size around 16, while I also want to make sure both of these are starting from start, so I'll say cross axis alignment dot start. I want to have a little bit of space between them, so I'll say sized box, but I want a vertical space, so I'll be mentioning height of around 3. I don't want a lot of height, I just want a little bit of it. I also wanted this to be a little bit more maybe, so I think that will work. Now if you want to show the last timestamp, you can show that here and stuff like that, but I think it looks good. Now one thing which yeah, so here's the application. You have this user I contacted. I am going to click on this. Okay, it's not working, so I need to click so what I want to do is I want to implement a gesture detector on it. Gesture detector, and basically whenever there will be any on tap, I want to do the same which we do when we click on any of the search query. So whenever we have a search user list, we have this search user tile. On tap, what we do, we check if that particular user ID exists. If it does, we will create that and stuff like that, right? So we don't have to check any of that here. We know that it already exists, and that is the whole reason why it is visible here. So what we will do is we will just send the user to the chat screen. So if I'll save this, if I'll click on this, you can see we are in this particular screen. And if I'll update the message, for example, I say thanks for your time, and I update that, and I go back, you can see this is the last message now. Okay, so if you have more users you can contact with, you can do that. And yeah, major of the stuff is done. So we are done with the messenger clone. I hope you enjoyed the video till now. Please make sure to like the video. Please make sure to share it in as many Facebook groups as you can. Just it will really mean a lot, because when people watch and share your feedback that they have completed, it really means a lot, and it really pushes me to create more and more content. So yeah, if you like to learn more about a more Flutter, then just visit my channel. There are a lot of content available for you. Believe me, if you watched all of that, your portfolio is going to get enough good that you can get a good job as a Flutter developer. But yeah, if you want to learn more, be notified about it, you can click on subscribe and click on the notification bell for that. So I'll see you in the next video.